So you can catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan scratch it. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. Catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. What you know about classic music?
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Retro Wrestling Review Series. I forgot what I was going to say for a second because we glitched out a little bit, so it threw me off. But I'm here very uncomfortable. Had to make a lot of adjustments because right before we started recording, of course, the sun came in and it hit at a really bad spot behind me. So I'm in an uncomfortable chair, just very uncomfortable. But this is the price we have to pay to get good, high quality stuff. I'm Owen the Birdman Finch, feeling very uncomfortable, and I'm here with James the Hagman Hebert, who strives for perfection and makes me feel as uncomfortable as possible.
Okay, Jesus Christ! Now, come on now.
I couldn't really come up with an intro or anything like that, so that was the intro.
I see. That's fair.
Yeah. But, yeah, well, today's retro is the first ever DVD retro, and it goes with the Elimination Chamber thing. It's New Year's Revolution 2006.
There you go.
I don't know how this is gonna look because it's probably
it actually looks perfect on my end.
Okay.
Keep in mind, it's only backwards for people that are recording from their end, so
that's true.
Keep that in mind.
So, yeah, we're doing New Year's Revolution 2006. This was my pick. The reason I picked this is it goes with the Elimination Chamber retro because there's an Elimination Chamber match on this show, as you can tell from the DVD cover and all that type of stuff. The Elimination Chamber is legitimately in the background. And I'll give you a little bit of story when it comes to. So I don't know how this happened, but this was the first ever wrestling pay-per-view that I watched from start to finish. Even though I didn't become a fan become a fan until 2007. I don't know how it happened, but every wrestling fan that I knew that was around my age had this DVD somehow. My cousin had it. My best friend had it. I ended up getting it eventually. So we always had this DVD. We would always watch this DVD anytime we hung out. So I've probably seen this show probably more times than anyone in the history of professional wrestling. Maybe Edge has probably seen it more because it's his first title win. Spoilers, but
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the first ever pay-per-view I ever watched from beginning to end. And obviously I was going into it fresh because I didn't look up results back then and all that type of stuff. Now there's supposed to be paper in here that says all the matches, but I don't have it in there because I lost it when I was moving houses and all that type of stuff.
Why is there Call of Duty in the games?
Because I couldn't find the Call of Duty case. And,
all right, so it was a recyclable item that you're okay, this will do.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
The DVD's in the Xbox right now, and I didn't take it back out because I had to do other stuff.
Okay, fair
enough. But the DVD, if you want to know what the DVD cover looks like, it's just this cover. But yeah, this was the first pay-per-view I watched from start to finish. So my grade for this show is probably going to be different than yours since I have that nostalgia working for me. Yeah, it's a pretty big show. Let's talk about where the company was at this time. We're not really going to be spending a lot of time talking about it because this is legitimately not even a year after New Year's Revolution 2005. I believe this show aired on January 8th, they say. And I think New Year's Revolution aired January 9th, 05. So this is
364 days, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say the company was in like a better position at this time, at least on screen, anyways. They had finally had the two big faces, like I talked about, John Cena and Batista. John Cena went over to SmackDown from Raw and bought the WWE Championship with him, so the world titles are different now. Batista went to SmackDown with the World Heavyweight title, so that was pretty different. We'll talk about that might have been a drastic mistake in Cena's career, which we'll talk about later in this review.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What else was different? There were some things that were going badly. They were still, I think, in the effects of Eddie's death, because this was like not really even like 2 months after Eddie's death. It was like a month and a half or so. So they were still kind of feeling the effects of that. So they had to make a lot of changes, obviously, and all that type of stuff. They were making some new stars. They were building up Edge to be a new star. Obviously, they weren't starting to, but they were going to have to start to be. Rey Mysterio was one of the top guys since they didn't have Eddie at that point.
Right, yeah.
They, I'm trying to think who else they were. Obviously, Randy Orton was finding his niche as a heel at this time, and they really recovered him really well after that feud with Taker and everything like that.
Yeah. Big time.
And at least on Raw, since this is a Raw pay-per-view, I usually try to focus on Raw. Even though he's still a big factor of the show, I think we can mercifully say we're at least finally out of the Triple H reign of terror, at least at this time. Yes, he's still like a big fixture of the show, but it's not like as annoying as it was.
Yeah.
So
he was slowly being phased into DX reunion Triple H.
Yeah.
Which was actually, I actually have fond memories of. I found it entertaining.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Again, I think we can't really talk about the thing that's a struggle when it comes to doing like wrestling pay-per-views in January when it comes to these retros. We can't really talk about what the year's like because legit the year was like only like a week and a day old at this point. 2006 hadn't really come into it.
2005 was a year of the strange. We'll just put it that way.
And then 2006, I think, became the year of the stranger because there was so much strangeness that year. But we're not here to talk about that.
And then 07 right just went into the pits. 08 kind of bounced back a little bit. We are slowly heading towards the doldrums with the exception of,
I will say this. I think this is at the 05 and 06, even 04 a little bit. It's kind of when wrestling's not becoming at least the WWE anyways, isn't as popular as it once was anymore. I'm going to read the buy rate of the pay-per-view and stuff, and that might say otherwise, but this is just my opinion. I really don't think wrestling was at the peak as it was. Well, at least WWE anyways. It wasn't as cool as it was in 03, 02, and all that type of stuff. You could definitely tell wrestling took a big of a hit at this time.
It already took a big hit after the botch of the invasion, but it was really evident that it was bad when we talk about how the brand split in 2002 was done very well, but the reason they did it is because they were trying to recreate the Monday Night War aesthetic with their own brands. And that only worked for a period of time. I mean, that was going to be done anyway, and it just came down to Vince wants what Vince wants, and what Vince wants is not exactly the greatest shit in the world.
Yeah, you're gonna see that. Yeah. I will say this too. Yeah, you could definitely tell because if you remember too, Survivor Series, if you ever did that as a retro, 05 was very built around Raw versus SmackDown at that time, if you remember too.
Yeah.
So you could definitely tell he was trying to capture that magic there.
I mean, he kind of did. I mean, it did do a lot of buys.
Yeah.
To be fair, that Survivor Series, they did well. It's up there with top 5, but It was downhill from there, dude. After that Raw vs. SmackDown thing ended, what did they have? Yeah.
We will talk about this too. Raw had bounced back to be a better show than SmackDown, I would say, at this time. Mainly because SmackDown lost one of the big stars legitimately. So that SmackDown took a big hit with Eddie being gone. So they lost, and
it wasn't even just Eddie. Pretty soon. I think I want to say Batista was injured too, right?
I think he's injured he's mentioned shortly after this show, because if you remember, we'll talk about it later, but Kurt Angle's, I think this is his last show as like a Raw superstar.
Kurt Angle gets drafted from Raw to SmackDown in a trade, right? And then he wins the world title. Because I remember it was because it was a weird fucking time because Eddie had just died, Batista just got hurt, freaking, and all they really have for the main event scene they completely botched with Eddie's down there in hell. Mm-hmm. So the only real main eventer you had was Kurt. Yeah, and that was and by the way, I guess you could say Kurt and Undertaker too, Taker as well. Yeah, but
also like even before Batista's injury and stuff, like Raw kind of stole a lot of SmackDown's like top stars, like I think Kurt Angle, and like they had to put Orton on SmackDown, I think, because and it was also really weird because they this was really weird how they affected the product at this time because the draft lottery, if you remember in 2005, lasted like 2 weeks versus like just one night, like a couple of nights and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
so, like,
right.
You couldn't really make out like who was on what brand because I think they changed so up. Because if you remember, like
this is when they were slowly starting to lose the plot here.
Yeah,
like it's really a shame too because like that Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series is literally just the brands were the stars, not even the stars in the match. Were the stars. If they'd have done this a year earlier when they had their shit together, then this would have been better. But that Survivor Series match, I remember, it wasn't bad. It was really good. It's like one of the classics. Yeah. But why is Batista all of a sudden super loyal to SmackDown all of a sudden? Mm. Same with Orton. Yeah. Like, why are they all of a sudden, like, supremely loyal to SmackDown? That doesn't make sense to me. JBL I get because JBL was like the fucking longest reigning champion for the longest time there. That's fair. Even though I don't like the prick. Fucking who else was in that match? Ray makes sense. Absolute sense. And
Bobby Lashley.
And then Bobby Lashley, who was a newcomer. It was supposed to be Eddie, by the way. Eddie, I believe, was supposed to be the team fucking captain before he passed away. Yeah. But it still made no sense to me why fucking Batista and Orton would be like, yay, SmackDown. I guess, yes, kinda with Batista, only due to his association with Eddie the month prior. Yeah. Like, maybe, but even that's a fucking stretch, because, like, the dude was the biggest Raw guy ever. Like, maybe, I don't know, who was on the Raw side? Was Triple H ever on the Raw side?
No, because he had a match separate on that show.
See, therein lies the problem. If Triple H was in that match, then I can understand it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. On the Raw side, I believe, was like Carlito, Chris Masters, Shawn Michaels, Kane, and The Big Show. I think those were like the Raw guys.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, it was really weird. I think I'm missing somebody, but it's like
I'm gonna be honest too. Like I like that Orton's got a great moment out of it and everything, but like,
yeah,
you really think about it, Taker should have been the guy. Taker was a SmackDown guy for a bare time by that point.
Yeah,
I really think they should have brought him back there, but I don't know. That's just
they did, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It was a weird fucking time. It was just a strange time for the WWE around this time. I think after Eddie died, and I think part of this is creative. Do not get me wrong. If anybody understands that, it's me. The other part of it is the media. The media absolutely shat all over wrestling because of Eddie's death. Yeah. A lot of people don't remember that as much because, they think of just Benoit and how Benoit is, like, doing his deal, and how that fucking affected the industry way worse. But they tried to do the same thing with Eddie's death, too, saying it was steroids this, steroids that, brought up his old freaking addiction things, which is why WWE, brought in their wellness policy, even if it was a looser version of it. I think that, in and of itself, is also what killed the WWE. I think that's really ultimately what turned a lot of people off is the death of Eddie. And especially with how the media portrayed it, it was just bad. It was just.
I mean,
it was basically a hit job, really.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it, but like maybe the death of Eddie is a bit on the WWE's, but if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure like it was also just because Eddie his years of addiction and stuff like caught up to him and stuff, and I'm pretty sure.
Yes, but here's a couple things though. Here's a couple things. Number one, they were making him still take roids, and it's fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that, oh, this is alleged, this is not the truth. Dude, you could tell he was ballooned off his gourd.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Eddie Guerrero in 2005 in his SummerSlam match that he had with Batista. His final pay-per-view match in WWE ever. Okay? Look at that match, and look at when he first showed up in the WWF with the Radicals. It's night and day. You cannot tell me the dude was not on roids. They encouraged, even if it was loosely, to look as big as possible. They just couldn't legally fucking say that because they couldn't say steroids because of what happened in the fucking 80s. But look as big as possible is basically just Vince slang term for take steroids, pal. Like, a lot of it is on WWE. I think people give them a lot. I don't know. Like, I look at the WWE and they're obviously really good now, but that wasn't the case in 05. That definitely wasn't the case in the early 2000s at all. They were so laxed about that shit.
Yeah.
And it showed in Eddie. And it cost him his life. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me. He conquered his demons long ago to be able to have a normal life and still wrestle. But he never was totally fucking clean because he still was encouraged to take steroids. Which is ultimately what fucked him up. Yeah. Yes, everything else had a factor in that, but what a lot of people don't realize is when you still are taking one substance, all the other substance you did in your past is fucking amplified.
For sure.
It gets amplified. And by the way, not for nothing, but had they been able to get into Eddie's room a little longer also, and we know this now with hindsight, thank you, Chavo, but also I feel bad for him, could have been saved also.
Yeah.
But if he was, Eddie would have been done. Eddie would have retired. Like, it would have been it would have been wraps. Vicky wouldn't have had any of it if they did save him. So, like, it's a blessing and a curse that Eddie passed away, because without Eddie passing away, I don't think we even get the start of the wellness policies that we have now in wrestling.
Yeah.
Which, we got that blessing, but it came at the expense of Eddie's life, because WWE should have had this down years ago after the fucking trial.
Yeah.
So, actually, I would say even a decade ago. So.
Yeah, going back to this pay-per-view, going through the statistics and all that type of stuff. This show took place in Albany, New York. The venue was the Pepsi Arena, which is now the MVP Arena.
Does Montel Von Savius Porter own the arena?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
There was 11,000 in attendance. Again, who knows if that's actually the legitimate number because of how often WWE likes to make up that number.
They like to fib.
The buy rate was 345,000, which I think is the actual number. But I think as you heard in the last retro, they say a different number on the actual show itself than the actual buy rate. So that's kind of funny how that happens.
I wonder why.
Since I have the DVD, I can't really tell you what the DVD numbers were. That's not an easy number to, I don't think, look up because
no, it is definitely not. What was it? What was the buy rate for 05?
The buy rate for 05 was it's a good question. 15,764.
Wait, what? For buy rate?
Oh wait, hold on.
No, that's attendance.
No, I'm sorry, that was the attendance.
Yeah,
the buy rate was 270,000.
And then this event was how many?
345,000.
Oh
Which is kind
wow,
of a shock.
that's actually up. Okay,
Yeah. Um,
fair enough.
Maybe it just shows how good how much better of a product Raw was becoming at this time too. Like as we talked about.
I mean,
The
yeah,
ta-
that is fair. I mean, there was still people that bought into that shit for whatever
yeah.
the fuck it was worth.
The tagline for the pay-per-view was the Elimination Chamber: 10 tons of steel, 2 miles of chain, 1 man left standing.
Nice.
Because obviously it was an Elimination Chamber. So Chris and I talked about like the history kind of Elimination Chamber, but since you're actually on this, we never really got to talk about it. What are your feelings towards like the Elimination Chamber? It's like a match concept, and it was like as like a yearly tradition type of thing.
I thought it was awesome. I still think it's one of the best concepts they ever came up with. And it's ironic now because we have Elimination Chamber and War Games in the same calendar year. But Elimination Chamber was created because Vince did not want to do War Games. He was so against the idea, so they kind of settled for this. It's not a bad idea at all. Like, it was a really cool concept. The World Championship on the line in that hellacious fucking structure, which I like the idea of the chamber. There's some brutal fucking spots that have happened throughout the fucking chamber. As far as a hardcore match, it's perfect, right? Because you had the fucking the match in 02 was at Survivor Series, which, spoiler alert, that's gonna be, we're gonna have a re-retro, if you could call it that, with Casey and myself. So check that out later. SummerSlam 03, which we've already done. That was cool, except for the ending, but really good fucking spots there. Was there a chamber in 04? I don't remember.
No, there was no chamber in 04.
Okay, so 05 would have been the next chamber after a while, and it would have been there.
As I talked about last time, that was a cool one, but obviously a waste of time. But if you want to know my thoughts on that, you can just watch the last one.
Yeah, because you know who the fuck was going to win. Well, and by the way, the same is going to ring true here. So then, well, then you have 06, which we'll get to. 2 chambers in 06, because there was this one, which was actually really good, despite the lame finish. And the December one, which we just don't talk about. Even though it should have been great, because they included weapons in the thing. How the fuck you fucked that up? I don't know, but the booking, yay. Then there was, I think, another one in...
So then it became like
a No Way Out tradition, / then it would... No Way Out would just be called the Elimination Chamber, I think is.
Yeah.
And then eventually they got rid of the steel grates. So, going to my original point, I like the concept, I like the original structure, but I also hate the original structure because it's fucking, the grates are just rough to bump on, and it shows, by the way. I guess that kind of was the intrigue of the fucking match, but like, couldn't there have been a better way to go about that?
Yeah.
You know, and
so
then I don't know. They changed the chamber now, and now the chamber, everybody originally called the fucking Funhouse, but the work rate has drastically improved.
Yeah, so I'll talk about it. So, since it's going to be the last chance we have to talk about it, I like the fact that the chamber became like a yearly thing. I also like that it's like the last thing that like superstars have to go through to get to like WrestleMania to put yourself through hell like this. I wish they had just kept the No Way Out pay-per-view name instead of just making the Elimination Chamber the pay-per-view.
I agree. Yeah.
Because it would have made more sense anyways. I hope they kind of go back to that. I think the reason they're doing Chamber anyways as like a match stipulation this year is because they had already announced it like a year prior and all that type of stuff.
You still could call the shit No Way Out, though. I don't know why they didn't change it. I mean, maybe because they already booked the arena or whatever. I don't know the legalities of it, but like.
But and then as for the new chamber, I think originally I didn't like the new chamber, obviously, just because it looked way too safe and all that type of stuff. However, knowing what we know now, I don't mind the new chamber because you can do a lot more stuff in that new chamber because it's more safe and all that type of stuff. Like the work rate of the match has gone up significantly and all that type of stuff.
It really does show like how dangerous that fucking chamber was. Because I don't know who it was, but like when they did the interview, like the people who first created the fucking chamber, they just, for whatever reason, the greats. Like, they wanted to do the greats, and I'm like, dude, that's basically like landing on goddamn concrete. Metal concrete. Like, you were basically just taking flat back bumps. It might as well have been back in ECW back in 2000.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go through the show now. I think we've talked enough about, like, the introductions and everything. So since I watched the DVD version, I'm going to talk about the DVD ads that were on here because it's good to talk about in hindsight. You didn't see them because you watched the Peacock version. But,
that's fair. Yeah.
So there was an ad for See No Evil because if you remember that was coming out this year.
Yep. Okay.
There was an ad for the Superstar Billy Graham DVD. I think it was like 20 years ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking shit in the toilet for like 3 weeks.
I haven't seen it, so I can't.
Well, you don't have to. The reason why is because they did a whole fucking nice piece for Billy Graham, only for him to just shit on the company afterwards. He he sold his Hall of Fame ring on fucking eBay for like I don't even know how much. It was like some absurd fucking price, and he's like, "Fuck the E." What the fuck, Billy?
Yeah. Other ads were, I don't know if you remember, it was like before the network, it was WWE like 24 where you could watch it on demand and all that type of stuff as well as a subscription service, which really didn't really...
AKA the WWE network before the WWE network, back when Comcast was a piece of shit!
I don't think that made them a lot of money, I don't think. So.
No. You know why? Because Comcast didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's the sponsor of this pay-per-view. I don't know if it was talked about here because they probably edited it out of the Peacock version. There was like a WWE like board game that came out where it was called like the WWE game. And it was like a board game. It was like, if you haven't played, like seen it, it's basically that pretty much.
I see.
I used to actually have this board game, but I never really played it because no one wanted to play it with me. Because no one was really wrestling fans. And
do you still have it?
No, I don't have it.
We should totally do a video just playing it just for the lulz.
But like I think we would try to play it as kids and be like, we didn't really get it because they don't make the rules very specific in the board game.
Oh, so Vince McMahon and WWE in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What else was that ads that they did? The WWE home video ad, and obviously the Don't Try This at Home ad. Those were all ads that were... Oh, the ECW, not the Rise and Fall DVD, but there's like an ECW DVD that came out that like showed all the extreme matches, because obviously ECW was becoming like, was going to be the third brand later that year. So those are all the DVD ads. Going through the commentary team, at least in the beginning, we have Joey Styles and Jonathan Coachman on commentary. So I'm pretty sure JR had to take time off because I think he had surgery on his glutes at this time, and I think I know this.
You mean the fucking operation that Vince making fun of on the air?
Yeah. So
that JR absolutely loathed and despised, by the way.
Yeah. So JR was out of action. JR was out of action at this time. Originally, I think it was Styles and Jerry the King Lawler that were the commentary team, but Lawler had a match on this show, so he wasn't on commentary until like the last 3 matches of the show. I thought this was a better idea than what they did with 05, because you remember in 05 we talked about it. He was on the booth, but then he went on commentary for his match, and then there was no commentary for like the actual match, and then it was just really weirdly structured. I'm glad they learned that lesson this time around. And just had Lawler not on commentary until the end of the show. So I'm glad they learned that lesson this time, because that was kind of weird. But yeah, I thought Styles and Jonathan Coachman did really well together, actually. Obviously, Joey Styles at this time was probably the best commentator like in the business. It was really good that WWE got him. And him and Coach actually, I thought weirdly enough, had decent chemistry with each other. Coach actually isn't that annoying. He gets annoying during the Lalo match, which I'll talk about, but other than that, he's not too annoying on commentary. He's actually doing pretty... like we talked, I think Casey and I talked about it, and you and I have talked about this before. When they let Coachman just call the matches and all that type of stuff, they don't do any of this heel shtick or any of that stuff. He's pretty well... he works pretty well on commentary, so...
Yeah, I think ultimately he's a good commentator. If you don't do the Vince McMahon thing of you got to do what I say at all times type bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, going through the actual show, we had the intro and the cold open. It was basically just building up the Elimination Chamber, talking about New Year's Revolution and how they have to get through the chamber. Really good, intro here. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I don't know if you actually saw it on the Peacock version, but this is what I saw. Slash the network version, because I forget the Peacock's not everywhere for everyone. First match on the show was for the Intercontinental Championship. It was Ric Flair defending the belt against Edge with Lita inside. These two had been feuding on and off for the IC title. Ric Flair was fairly new as a babyface at this time, and he was actually pretty well received as a babyface.
Yeah,
Ric Flair had won the belt.
What hindsight, huh?
Yeah, Ric Flair had won the belt from Carlito at Unforgiven, and he was doing really well as a babyface. They did that run where they wondered if he could hang anymore and all that type of stuff. And then him and Edge got into a feud because Ric Flair was making some off remarks about Lita at this time, which obviously doesn't translate all that well with Ric Flair, knowing the history behind that. And all
Not
that
at all.
So Edge wanted to get revenge on Lita and all that type of stuff. And they did a segment on Raw, I think before this, where they did it was the early stages of photo editing where they did
Photoshop.
Photoshop, where they had Ric Flair's picture, but I think someone obviously they did the thing where they cut their mouse off and someone pretends to be Ric Flair and demean him and all that type of stuff. It was that kind of beginning stage of Photoshop editing type of thing.
Yeah, wasn't there a segment too where Edge was pretending to be Flair on the road, and because he also had a road rage incident, by the way, which
I think
that's real.
Yeah, so pretty good feud going into this. Obviously, Edge was really finding his stride as a heel at this time because obviously him and Lita were together at this time. IRL, and Edge got so much heat because of the Matt Hardy situation. I'm always I know this is off topic, but it's just always a shame that his feud with Matt Hardy was long since over. This feud with Matt Hardy should have gone to a Mania match. It's just my opinion, but we'll talk about that at a later time.
Fair enough.
But it led to this match here. Good match to kick off the show. Ric Flair, before the match starts, Edge attacks Flair from behind, and he starts beating the crap out of him. Eventually, Flair mounts a comeback. He hits a lot of chops on the Edge. Eventually, at one point, he chases Lita down because she had interfered in a couple of his matches and stuff. Edge takes his head off with a clothesline. He throws Flair into the barricade, and Edge works over the leg of Flair. Eventually, Flair makes another comeback, hits a couple of chops on the Edge. He takes him to the outside, throws him into the barricade. He drops him groin first onto the barricade and hits a chop, knocking Edge off the barricade. Edge dominates Flair again. He works over his legs. He goes for the figure four, but Flair counters into a roll-up. And Flair goes to go off the top rope. And believe it or not, Flair actually gets to go off the top rope.
I couldn't believe it. It's a miracle. Holy shit, he did it. He did the crossbody.
No, he didn't do a crossbody. He did a chop.
I'm sorry, a chop. Yeah. By the way, it was a fucking, because I'm thinking of 24 where he actually did a crossbody. It was the fucking Mongolian chop. The one that you always see in the fucking games.
Yeah. So, then eventually Lita starts to interfere, and Flair pulls Lita into the ring, gets her into the figure four, and while Flair has Lita in the figure four, Edge comes in with his Money in the Bank briefcase, because he was the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. We could say briefcase, because back then you could say briefcase. Briefcase holder at the time.
Wait, that was a rule for the longest time?
You didn't know about that? That you
No.
couldn't call it you couldn't call it a briefcase? You had to call it the Money in the Bank contract holder or the Money in the Bank contract? Yeah, Vince didn't like you to say briefcase. I don't know why, but he didn't like you to say briefcase.
Vince McMahon is honestly the weirdest and strangest and saddest man that I've ever heard of in my God-given life. And nothing should surprise me at this point with this fucker. But as I hear this shit, it does.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
What is your issue with the briefcase? The fucker had briefcases in the office. They called them fucking briefcases. Does he treat fucking WWE HQ like he does the goddamn Money in the Bank briefcase?
I don't know.
What the fuck? What? Did I call them? Oh, I got your contract, sir. Places the fucking briefcase on the fucking goddamn desk? Are all briefcases known as contract holders? Nothing should surprise me. I mean, a steak sandwich. He thought for the longest time a fucking steak sandwich was a goddamn... It wasn't a burrito, so I shouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, I know I have my dumb moments, man, but Jesus Christ.
The only reason I could come up with, this is a dumb reason, but it's Vince, is briefs are also underpants, so maybe he thought that, like, people would associate briefcase that you keep underpants there, so maybe he
doesn't like briefcase because his mind goes into the fucking gutter immediately, and it's like, I don't want people thinking of boxers. But he'll recommend an incestual storyline. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, don't quote me on. Don't quote me on that. I'm just guessing here. So.
All right, whatever. Next, just continue.
But anyhow, Edge comes in with his Money in the Bank briefcase, and smashes Flair off the head with an unprotected shot too. It looked very dangerous.
Bro, that was not nice to look at.
Yeah.
And I think that was legit a metal briefcase too. There was no give on that thing.
And Edge, he doesn't just hit Flair like once. Afterwards, he officially attacks Flair, and he hits Flair like 2 more times, and they were both unprotected shots with that briefcase, too.
Yeah, and Flair, I mean, I think it was Flair selling, but... Bro, he's still taking shots to the fucking head with this thing, man. And it's dented, and you can see it's clearly dented.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
I think that's why we don't see, like, this version of the Money in the Bank briefcase anymore. Like, you could obviously tell they've gone to a more safer version of the briefcase now, which I'm kind of... You know, I don't think the briefcase looks as good, but if it means that we get a safer version of the briefcase, I'm honestly okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
I thought this match
But still, call it a fucking briefcase, please. I think we're back we're probably back to that now that Triple H is in charge, but, you know.
Yeah, we'll see. We have to wait till we see the Money in the Bank ladder match to know that for sure.
Grab the briefcase. Then we know. Then we know he's not in charge anymore.
I thought this match was good. I actually like the finish a lot, mainly because it leads to what happens later in the show anyways.
Yeah.
So, and it made sense, like, why would Edge want to have the IC title? It obviously continues the feud between Edge and Flair, because if you remember, it would lead up to that great TLC match on Raw between Edge and Flair for the title. So, I give that match like 3 stars. I thought it was a way to protect both men, and because no one could really take a loss and all that type of thing. So I thought I liked it.
To me though, like this is just me. It's a good way to protect both guys. It really does devalue the IC title though. I don't like the idea that like you couldn't have found a way to make Edge cheat to win to protect Flair. And have him have 2 sets of championships. I mean, that's just me. I don't like the idea that the IC title is automatically lesser than the WWE title.
Yeah,
like,
I could see your perspective on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my deal. Like, especially considering the fact it's like, isn't it Edge's first singles championship in WWE? No. And I'm not counting the US title. Because that was the WCW.
Well, that actually was.
I know it was in WWE, but if it has the WCW lettering, I'm not counting it. My point is...
No, I'm saying his first... Because in 99, like, right before he even teams up with Christian...
Oh, fuck, yeah, you're right. No, wasn't that Christian that won the European title?
No, he wins the IC title on, like, a house show and, like, drops it on, like, a Raw or something.
Oh, okay, so it is the IC title anyway, regardless. Okay, cool. But yeah... Edge, it's the first title, so why is he just nah?
Yeah, I can see that.
That's just me. Like, fucking get all the gold, dude.
Yeah. What would you give this match as like a star rating, though?
Star rating, huh? I mean, it would be 3. I mean, it was alright. Flair had some good stuff. Edge looked good. The DQ finish, I'm not a fan of. But it was solid. It was a solid opener to start it. I just don't like the fact that, again, you just kind of devalue the IC title that way.
That's fair.
Also, I do want to point out before we continue any further with the review, you get to hear fucking Stricken, you bastard. I don't. You get to hear Stricken. I didn't either, actually. Wait, what? No way they dumped that off the... No!
Yeah, they dumped it off the DVD version, too.
Why? Just pay the fucking royalties! Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
this is what happens when you give Vince McMahon all the money in the world. He'll fucking pay for XFL and fucking WWF New York / the world instead of fucking paying for music rights, dude.
Yeah. I had to hear, like, this generic, like, music. I don't even know what it was. It was so
I
generic.
did, too. What was it? What was it?
It was like, on.
Yeah, it was...
It was so bad, like...
just get stricken. You're friends with Disturbed. He did Austin's theme. Just pay the fucking fee.
I even went and listened to, like, Stricken, like, before the paper... I watched the show again, and I'm like... I think what it was, because it's the first pay-per-view show, that theme song that I ever heard is like one of my favorite of all time, as you've known, because I've used it to try to troll you before.
Yes, you have many times.
I think what happened is when I could watch them at the time, but YouTube was like, before the copyright thing was so strict, you could watch like these promo packages. I remember I was like getting all hyped. I'm like, yes, the promo package. You had to get Stricken to like the Elimination Chamber. Nope, it was fucking this generic fucking.
I'm annoyed. Listen, I feel like I've said this already, but I'll say it again because fuck it. There's a couple factors into this. WWE very well could be just lazy and don't want to do it and don't want to pay the extra money for future replays of this thing. Probably the case.
That's fair.
However, there's also this problem. It's probably a cost-cutting measure, and the reason it's a cost-cutting measure, you can't really blame the WWE, you blame the fucking record labels. A lot of these fucking people need to start getting on the goddamn bandwagon and start advocating for being able to, if you pay for the fucking song on iTunes, or fucking listen to it on Spotify and got it from Spotify, you should be allowed to use the goddamn music.
Yeah.
Well, period. End of story. There should be and on YouTube's end also, there should be a goddamn like system where it only claims a section of the video the song's being used and not the entire fucking video. Guaranteed you, if they did that, not only would the record companies make money and the fucking artists make money, the YouTubers would make money and everybody fucking wins. But no, because the fucking record labels have to be greedy cunts.
Well, if you remember, WWE's cut was that way, like, in 2020 when they lost their deal with CFO $, because if you remember, like, a lot of people's theme song in 2020 it started changing because they didn't want to pay CFOs anymore and all that type of stuff. The biggest person that was an example of it was Keith Lee. Remember how bad his theme song was when he got, right when he got to the main roster. So
I kind of don't want to remember it for my own sanity.
Yeah, but anyhow, so that's good thing for putting that up because I actually would have forgotten to rant about that. So,
but yeah, Stricken. I can't believe it wasn't the theme that played. Like, dude, just find a fucking way, dude. It's not hard. Yeah. Like, just, and if it is that hard, then fucking people should be goddamn banding together and getting a new law in place that allows for music to be not. I wouldn't say necessarily royalty free, but an easier way to be able to use third party content than what is happening right now, because it's just fucking ridiculous.
Next, Todd Grisham interviews Kurt Angle and Daivari, because Todd Grisham was one of the interviewers. This was really weird.
This promo was just fucking wild, dude.
Funny thing is, if it was anyone else but Kurt Angle that cut this interview, I'd be shitting on it though. But,
yeah, exactly. Because he was able to somehow bring it back to the championship match. Wow.
Yeah. But Yeah, let's talk about it. So I remember I did a career retrospective last video on Daivari, and I mentioned, oh yeah, he managed various wrestlers like the Great Khali. I forgot one of the wrestlers he fucking managed was Kurt Angle because it doesn't even make any sense. I completely forgot that they were like a team up together because there's such an oddball duo that you wouldn't even think that like Kurt Angle would be managed by Daivari. It just doesn't even make any sense.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Bro, not like Kurt Angle.
Think about this. The fucker led him in kayfabe to a world championship.
He did, yeah.
What the fuck timeline is this?
But anyhow, so Todd Grisham asked Kurt Angle what his chances are of walking out of the Elimination Chamber with the WWE Championship, and randomly Kurt Angle, I think, says the first thing he says is, "By the way, I hope Iraq beats America in the."
And Daivari goes, "I do too." What the fuck?
And my brain was like, "Wait, didn't you represent America when you won the gold?"
No. This is why. Because everybody was chanting, "You suck," but then people were starting to cheer him even after he joined up with Daivari. It was because that's the whole reason they teamed up, is because Kurt was getting shit on by the audience, and so he denounced America as a result, kinda loosely.
Well, then it gets weird. The promo gets weirder than you thought. That was weird. The promo gets weirder than this. I forget what he says. I think he says like something else. But the weirdest thing I think that he basically says like all these things that he doesn't want to happen. Then all of a sudden,
he says, "I'm not a great fan of the blacks." I'm like, whoa! Whoa, Kurt! Jesus Christ, where did the racism come from?
This is all, and don't forget, by the way, I hate to bring the storyline up. We know this is bullshit because he was trying to get with Booker T's wife.
Oh, and another wild storyline with bestiality. Yeah, right. Yeah, bestiality sex. That was a thing. Not even 4 months prior to this?
Yeah, not even that long. Yeah.
Oh no, it was a year. No, it would have been a year and 4 months prior to this. My apologies.
So this was just freaking wild.
I think at one point also before I'm not a fan of the blacks, right? He said he says something really fucked up. I don't remember. I wanna know exactly what he fucking said because it's gonna bug me. Because they were all fucked. They were all fucked. And then he goes and says, "See, I could say, the point is, Grisham, I could say whatever the fuck I want to say, and these people will still cheer for me like the idiots they are." Like, alright. Nice.
You know what the funny thing is? He ended up being white because they
cheered him right after!
Not even just that, but then he turned babyface not even a week after this promo.
Yeah, he turned babyface on SmackDown, won the world title, I think got rid of Daivari pretty soon afterwards, had a fucking 5-star with Undertaker, had a fucking, went into Mania 22 as the world champion.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell?
Dude.
But anyhow, so...
Kurt Angle's a different kind of shark, man.
Yeah. So Kurt Angle... He brings the promo back to the chamber, and he talks about how he's beaten John Cena before. He's a much better athlete than Kurt Angle and Chris Masters, and he's beaten Kane and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. So he has more of a chance than anyone at winning the WWE Championship. Weirdly enough, this promo ended up being a good promo because of Kurt fucking Angle.
Bro.
With all that weird shit in
it. I think we've said this before on past retros. Kurt Angle. This promo in and of itself describes Kurt Angle's entire run in a nutshell. Because he said the most outlandish shit, and he was comical in the start. And he brought it right around to being a serious, no-nonsense, ass-kicking fucking heel.
Yeah.
In the span of 2 minutes on the microphone. Kurt Angle is not built from this planet. He represented America as a fucking alien. There's no way, bro. Any of what he said, there's no way. Even in 06, this would have flown. Fucking Chavo was doing a racist fucking gimmick. They had to change it to a golf gimmick halfway through. This fucking dude was able to say all that outlandish shit, and then boom, he's over because he ended up putting over the match that he was going into.
It's wild.
Just nobody like Kurt Angle, man. There will never be another Kurt Angle.
Next match was for the Women's Championship. It was Trish Stratus defending the belt against Mickie James. This storyline here, I'm actually looking forward to talking about it. So, Trish Stratus was still the Women's Champion from last year's New Year's Revolution. She was a champion for like almost a year at this point. It's crazy that she didn't drop it or anything like that. That just shows you how much faith they had in her as a champion. You can say, oh, she didn't have anyone to wrestle. She had plenty of people to wrestle. That just shows you how much of a star Trish Stratus was at this time.
Yeah, there was a lot of good fucking wrestlers actually.
Yeah,
and especially in 04 and 05.
Yeah, at late 05, Mickie James debuts, and she was dubbed as the Trish Stratus' biggest fan, and she basically wanted to, do everything like Trish Stratus, which is funny that she says that because basically she's stolen all of Trish Stratus' moveset nowadays. Like,
she's not wrong. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, listen. All you need to know is that's not the only thing she took from people. Although I gave her the blessing to do the DDT. She won the Impact Knockouts title with recently, so yeah, that's a fun thing.
So, Mickie James became Trish Stratus' biggest fan. They became friends after this. Mickie James basically would be the manager of Trish Stratus for a while, and she basically helped Trish Stratus retain the belt no matter what. There was a battle royal at Taboo Tuesday 05 that she eliminated herself so that Trish Stratus could retain the belt. And, it was a pretty
it was Taboo Tuesday, all right, this fucking storyline.
Yeah. So it's a pretty normal storyline. And then all of a sudden, the storyline's gonna get weird because, it wasn't even it was getting weird at this point because.
Was it getting weird or was it getting hot? It depends on your interpretation.
I would say both.
Yes, I was strangely aroused. Is the basis of this feud.
Yeah. So Mickie James became the #1 contender to the women's title by beating Victoria on Raw a few weeks before this. And they were doing the student versus the teacher type of thing. Big fan versus whatever you want to call it. They did a promo. No.
Big lover fan, whatever you want to call it, versus mentor / obsessed interest, or whatever you want to call it.
So they did a promo on Raw, which wasn't too weird, where Mickie James wanted to say that she was going to beat Trish Stratus for the belt, but obviously couldn't win the words out. But then that's not when the storyline starts getting weird. Let's just say that Mickie James' fascination for Trish Stratus turned into more of just her being a super fan. She wanted to get with Trish Stratus. There was segments backstage.
She wanted to fuck.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. She wanted the Stratusfaction, if you will. She wanted to touch them stratospheres,
She wanted to. There was segments backstage where
I hate myself. That was such a bad joke.
There were segments backstage where Mickie James stood outside of Trish Stratus' shower and tried to have a conversation with her,
boobs.
And she had a towel.
That made me fucking die. Just you see this like promo of the super obsessed fan, and then just they go into this mistletoe segment where she's about to lock lips with Trish, right?
Yeah.
And then she goes. There's one segment where she's looking at Trish. She's like, "Nice boobs."
Yeah, that was weird. So basically, you could kind of get like the storyline was starting to get like. Mickie James is starting to get creepy towards Trish Stratus. Obviously, it wasn't. This was story building still because it wasn't psychotic yet, but they were planting the seeds for that pretty much.
It was the different type of psychotic than what she dealt with 3 years prior with Victoria. Let's just say that.
So we had the match here. Trish Stratus and Mickie James lock up. They do a funny bit where Mickey James grabs Trish Stratus' boobs and Trish calls her out for it. And obviously Mickey James is like, no, I wasn't doing that. I was just trying. It was just happened to be that. It just happened to happen that way.
Totally was doing that. She totally was doing that. You know what's funny too about Mickey, and this is the truth. Like, and she's even flat out admitted this. She still does this now.
Yeah.
Like, they planned these spots out. She still does this shit with the fucking people.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, whatever you think would be, whatever floats your boat, I guess, Mickey. But, fucking hell.
But yeah, in the match, a lot of things happen. They both try to do Trish Stratus' movesets, but they're both countering each other. And then there's a spot in the match that kind of gets messed up where I think Mickey James is supposed to do like a Hurricane Rana and Trish is supposed to counter it, but it gets kind of screwed up. So it looks kind of sloppy, and Trish rolls her up, and Trish grabbed her foot on the ropes, which I don't think was meant to happen. I think that was kind of her way of kind of covering it up to make it look like it wasn't a botch, and she kicks out and gets rolled outside the ring.
Which is funny. She basically had to be kind of heelish, because I think they were slowly turning her babyface with the storyline by this point, so she kind of had to heel it up just to protect the immersion, if you will.
Yeah. And then eventually Mickey James takes control. She throws Trish to the outside, and she grabs the Women's Championship, and she has this look on her face, like, is she going to use the belt to, win the match? But instead, she puts the belt down, and she goes into the ring. She hits the Mick DT, as we know it now, but it was Trish's Stratus faction. And Mickey James takes too long gloating and talk and stuff like that, so Trish Stratus is able to kick out. And then eventually she goes for the Mick kick, but ducks it, and Trish hits the Trish kick, covers her, and gets the win. That's really the whole match. It was still a pretty good match, though. Really good storytelling in this match, I thought.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm okay with them holding back because of what the WrestleMania match ended.
Their match at Mania was fucking awesome, to be fair.
So this was actually a
which, by the way, funnily enough, that would be like the last really great women's match for like years. By the way,
if you think about it, well, no, if you just meet at Mania, yes, but don't forget we got Trish and Lita in Trish's retirement match.
That is true. That is true, but still, dude, like, fuck.
Yeah, but like, what I thought this was a pretty good match here. Weirdly enough, even though this is a storyline written by Vince and all that type of stuff, which you can tell, it somehow fucking worked. And like,
well, look at the fucking caliber of workers we are working with here, though.
Yeah,
it's Mickey James and Trish Stratus. Like, obviously, we didn't know that at the time back then. But I mean, looking at this now, it's like, yeah, of course they did.
Yeah, but this pretty good stuff here. A lot of good story building in the match. This isn't one of those matches I think you would watch. If you want to watch like a match with moves, it's not going to be for you. But I gave it like 3.25, mainly because of the story.
Yeah, the storytelling was top notch. It was really good.
Yeah. Anyhow, anything else you want to add to the match?
Mickey wanted to really go for that boobplex. That's all I'm gonna say.
There you go.
Which by the way, fuck Joey Ryan. Mickey tried to do it first.
Yeah.
And by the way, also fuck Joey Ryan for a whole different reasons, but that's a story for another day.
Next, this is the weird. Oh, as for career retrospectives, we've done one with Trish. We haven't done one with Mickey James yet. So Mickey James, as we talked about, would go on to win the belt from Trish at Mania. I think they had to turn her back, slowly into a babyface, because I think Trish got injured, so they didn't have another top star, so they had to turn her babyface, which is kind of a shame. I thought the psychotic Mickey James character, because she turned heel and everything, was really getting over, but unfortunately, because of Trish's injury, they had to turn her babyface, which kind of sucks. Because they couldn't turn Lita babyface, because she was still aligned with Edge and everything like that. So
true that.
And then Mickey James would be a pretty consistent part of the women's division. I think she'd be the best parts most times of the women's division. She would have like a really classic feud with Beth Phoenix for the belt, where they would trade back and forth for the title. And then eventually, I think after the Beth Phoenix feud, even though Mickey James would still be in conversations for the belts and stuff, they kind of squandered the women's division for a while. So eventually,
I will say that we hate Mickey James, but a lot of people, I will say, just to give some retrospectives to that was actually all Mickey's idea.
Yeah,
I don't think people realize it because like and I didn't realize it at the time. I thought it was just a really bad angle that WWE booked, and it was in poor taste. But the idea of the Mickie James angle was women who would get bullied for their weight and for their looks or whatever and how they look could persevere through that fucking adversity and overcome those odds. And a lot of people are apparently inspired by that. And we do forget because of how uncomfortable those segments were. Mickie fucking won the Divas title on the Rumble that night.
Women's title.
Yeah. Oh, was it the women's? I forget. Dude, they fucking they had 2 women's divisions at that point and I hated it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, women's title. There you go.
And then Mickie James got released randomly in 2010.
Yeah, that was a lot of people think. I think that's why a lot of people thought it was real and it was just Vince being a dick, because it would be something he would do, or you'd think it would be something that he or Laurinaitis would do, but in reality, it was just. I think it was like some other creative dispute, and Mickie just had enough, and she's like, "Yeah, fuck this. I'm going to TNA."
And then she went to TNA, was a big part of the Knockouts division there, won the Knockouts title a few times. Left TNA in 2013, basically to go be a mom and all that type of stuff and do a music career. And then she had like a part-time role in TNA from like 2015. And then she went back to the WWE in 2016, had a killer match at NXT TakeOver with Asuka. And then afterwards, that's like basically her highlight, honestly.
Of that return, entire run, yeah, because they did nothing with her after. They then fire her, a part of the 2020 budget cuts, throw her shit
2021, actually.
Yeah, sorry, 2021. Threw her shit in the trash bag.
Yeah.
And then, I guess as a fucking... Yeah, it's fucked up. Because, like, I still to this day... You know, Mickie came back. She came to the WWE again as Impact Knockouts champion. However, I think, call me crazy, I believe they call it the Impact Women's Champion, right? Or something of that nature.
No, they called it the Knockouts title.
Did they call it the Knockouts title?
They did.
Okay.
So I know specifically Pat McAfee is the one that calls it the Knockouts title. So,
yeah, but did it say it on the graphic? Because I remember strictly that it said women's because Vince ordered it.
I don't remember because it was so long ago.
It feels fucking ages ago, right? That was only last year. She then lost the title, and then she went on this last rodeo.
Yeah.
Only to just win the belt back and end the last rodeo because she already got the belt back. So she's the champion again. I'm happy about it, by the way, because she used our fucking move. Because you could see her on WYW also. Fun fact.
One other thing, she actually brought some prestige to the NWA for like a month with the NWA women's pay-per-view.
That is the statement of the century. For a month. And then it died a death because Billy Corgan just realized what Aldis did and then wanted to blame Aldis. And then they had a fucking argument. And then Aldis left. Before
I'm pretty sure
Billy Corgan and so did Mickie James before he could even find a replacement for anybody.
I heard rumors too that one of the factors that led to Aldis leaving was the way they treated Mickie James in the NWA. That was like one of the main factors that led to him leaving. I don't know what would happen. I that could just be a rumor, but I honestly could see that happening because why would Aldis just leave like that if his wife was, other than his wife being treated like such shit? You know what I mean? So
no, I'll tell. Well, I mean, look, yes, that's a great excuse, Aldis, but let's be fucking honest here. You were pissed that you weren't going to be the fucking vocal point of the NWA, so your wife was a good excuse.
Yeah.
And hell, who the hell knows? Maybe your wife was factored into your fucking plans, but so is fucking Camille, who, by the way, you had a part of your fucking faction to start.
That's correct.
So there wasn't much they could do with her there. And And realistically, man, like I think Mickie James is better suited on Impact anyway. There wasn't much she was going to be able to do in the NWA. But that doesn't mean they were necessarily treating her fucking bad. Maybe they were, and I just don't know what actually was done. I haven't actually listened to the fucking interview with Aldis, but
I've seen like a few of appearances in the NWA, most of them, and to be honest, as you've seen with the roster, the only one that Mickie James can really wrestle is Camille. There's no one else on like Mickie James's level really in the NWA.
Yeah, which is the problem.
Yeah, maybe like Allison Kay, but like I don't really want to see that match, to be honest.
You know what's funny? So Mickie James booked that fucking Empower show, correct?
That was the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Empower show she booked, right? So that was a good show because she booked it and she got outside fucking names from all companies, including AEW and including Impact.
Yep.
So either Billy Corgan doesn't want to do that. And mostly, I think that's a yes, by the way. And we've seen that from the last show that they fucking did. Or...
well, you have it.
Aldis didn't want to fucking work and play ball with AEW and drop the belt to somebody there. To get some exposure for the NWA.
I mean, don't forget, but we're ignoring the biggest thing. The reason why Empower worked, too, is Mickie James went to Impact, like, a month before that pay-per-view and, like, promoted... Empower, if you remember, too.
And by the way, Layla Hirsch and Camille were the match as well, because I think there was an injury to one of the participants in that match. I forget who it was. I think it was supposed to be Serena Deeb.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Serena Deeb versus Camille, which, by the way, would have ruled. But they went with,
and then if you remember, actually, on AEW, they did like a championship, like contenders match or something. I think Layla Hirsch beat like the Bunny to get that title match.
Layla Hirsch beat the Bunny, and then Camille and Layla Hirsch stared each other down and in the ring. I remember, yeah, and that was when they had a full crowd too.
I think you're correct. Yeah. So yeah, and like honestly, if you think about it, like that NWA Empower show, because of Mickie James, got so much publicity. If you think about it, like
so my point is, fucking Billy Corgan and Nick Aldis should have taken some fucking pointers from Mickie, and then maybe they wouldn't even be involved in this situation. Yeah. I think they're both to blame for the fall of the NWA.
For sure,
truthfully, and I like Mickie. And I don't like how Aldis conducted himself with that whole thing, but like it is what it is, you know. But like, hopefully next time he realizes not to fucking do this bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
Because like, realistically, he shouldn't have been the only fucking face of the NWA, and that was the problem. If he'd have dropped it to somebody else, they would have been golden.
I'm gonna touch on this too. I don't know if you know this. At the NWA show that Aldis was supposed to show up at, his last pay-per-view, I think he was supposed to put over Odinson because he was supposed to wrestle Odinson at Hard Times 3. And if you notice, Aldis was gone right before that. He cuts a promo on Odinson, and then that's his last thing that he does in the NWA. And Aldis even said on Sam Roberts' podcast that he had like an opt-out that he could use anytime he wanted. I'm not going to be. This is what I think happened. I think he didn't want to put Odinson over also, he didn't want to put anybody over on the way out, so he left before he could put anybody over. That's what I think happened.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, and look, I'm not saying there wasn't validity to what you said, but like, dude. You caused that yourself. You couldn't put over Odinson. Odinson's really good, by the way.
Yeah,
like really good.
I remember on that show on that NWA Hard Times 3, Odinson like lost to like some nobody on that show. I remember he was supposed to face Aldis, and he lost to some nobody on Hard Times 3 instead of. Which that's another problem. But
which, by the way, he finally is getting his goddamn win back. He got his win back on the pre-show.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Like, is NWA taking Aldis, leaving out on Odinson? I don't know what's going on here.
I don't fucking know. Billy Corgan and Nick Aldis are fucking crazy. They both fucked that entire company up, dude.
Yeah. Well, this is why I kind of don't.
This is why it's like, and I don't want to hate Aldis. I don't.
Yeah.
But it's hard to fucking see when you have your head so far up your fucking ass that you don't even realize that this started because of you. You didn't fucking do the right thing for business and bring the NWA title to AEW. You did that. Nobody else fucking did.
And as you talked about before, it ruined Cody's run in AEW, which is why he had to go to WWE.
Which you fucked a lot of shit up, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're not blameless in this. I'm sorry to say, you're not blameless in any of this. But anyhow, and if you're convincing yourself otherwise, buddy, chances are you need to get some mental help. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you are not looking yourself in the fucking mirror.
Let's get back to this pay-per-view now, though. Next, Maria attempts to interview herself. That's legitimately what happens. She interviews herself. What the hell?
Yeah, that was a thing.
I don't know when she was interviewing herself about the bra and panties match. It was really weird. I don't get why they booked this. And then it gets interrupted by Gregory Helms, who's now Gregory Helms at this point. Your buddy, your favorite boy.
Yes, Mr. I don't like the fact that you're talking about what I'm talking about on social media, and therefore free speech should be abolished. Yeah, fuck you, Greg. Still for that, but we're cool now. It's been fucking long enough. Who gives a shit?
Okay. But, yeah, he comes up, and he's just transformed into the Gregory Helms gimmick. I'm pretty sure what happened here.
I'm shocked it turned into that. I kind of want to see the fucking metamorphosis of Hurricane out of Gregory Helms into Gregory Helms.
I think what happened is either he just unmasked because he got sick of it, or he lost a mask versus mask match or something. It was something like that.
I see.
And he was just Gregory Helms. I actually get why they changed his gimmick, because obviously the Hurricane was going to get him so far and all that type of stuff. It was a chance for him to do something new, and honestly, I think it extended his wrestling career for a while, and he got to be the king of the cruiserweights, as I talked about. So I actually like this change.
Yeah, until there was no more cruiserweight division.
He cuts a promo talking about how, unfortunately, Jerry the King Lawler is not going to be out there to do commentary for the Bra and Panties match to talk about your puppies and all that type of stuff, because I'm going to beat him up. So
it called him a pervert, which is apparently a bad thing.
And then he just walks away. He cut a decent promo here. Before we talk about the next thing that happens, this was pretty good. I thought Helms showcased himself well. Then the next thing that happens, and I couldn't help but laugh at the segment when it happened. So, Shelton Benjamin arrives with his mama.
Oh my god, dude!
So
I wanted to like this.
I couldn't help but laugh at it.
I laughed, but also was sad as I was laughing, because I'm like, oh. Yeah. Oh, this is what kills Shelton Benjamin's momentum for the rest of his career.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me just. Fuck.
So pretty much, Shelton Benjamin before this was developing a losing streak. So they brought in Thea Vendale, who had been in, who was a stand-up comedian, and she had been in various TV shows and stuff like that. So she was fairly well known. It wasn't just like they hired some random actress. And she played Shelton Benjamin's mama. And the best way I can describe Shelton Benjamin's mama is pretty much picture how Vince McMahon thinks like a black woman acts. That's basically how I can describe.
Well, okay, hang on, because it's to be fair. I don't think there was much acting to be had here. I don't think there was a lot of acting.
But yeah, there was. But
I mean, there was. But I think she was just channeling her childhood, or not even her childhood. That sounds really bad. There's no good way to say it. She was channeling her blackness. Okay, I don't know what else you want me to say. Yeah. That's what it was. That's what was happening. like, I don't think there was much acting that was going into that, especially like she's a black mom, man. She's sassy. She'll make you good meals. She'll try to help you out, but she'll also hit you with a rolling pin if you fuck up. I mean, that was it,
that was
man. I don't know, like it was,
but. Shelton Benjamin and his mom arrived. I think his mom had like just debuted not that long ago before this. And they were at the pay-per-view because they wanted to get Shelton Benjamin's career back on track. And his mama then asks, his mama's never given a name. It's just Shelton's mama. That's the name, pretty much. And it's spelled exactly the way I say it, too. She asked Shelton Benjamin if he had anything to eat today, and Shelton Benjamin was like, I had a granola bar earlier today and all that type. No, I think it was like a protein bar, he said, earlier that day. And she's like, protein bar? You got to have carbs. You got to be eating right. I'm going to go get you some lunch. You got to eat right here. And they just kind of walk off.
Bro, I couldn't believe that was said. To be fair, I think that's the opposite of what you want to do in a competitive matchup, by the way. You don't want carbs.
Yeah.
You want exactly what Shelton ate, which is a protein bar.
Yeah. But this was hilarious. I couldn't help but I remember seeing this and I'm like, oh, this is what kills Shelton's credibility in like the WWE. But I couldn't help but laugh about this because Shelton's mama, the actress that played her, did such a good job of just make you laugh. It's just so hilarious. She did
really good, yeah. And like it sucks because like Shelton did good though with it too. Yeah. Like you really think it could have landed something because I remember even in 2006 while he had the mama gimmick with his mom as managing him. Well, his mom, bro, he had banger matches for the IC title with Nitro. I remember the Nitro and Carlito series, bro. That shit ruled, bro.
Yeah.
It was during the mama gimmick.
Yeah. I think what happened here is, this is just me guessing. I don't think this is what happened. I think Vince obviously knew that Shelton couldn't talk, which, let's be real, he couldn't talk at the time, really. So I think he wanted to give Shelton Benjamin like a mouthpiece. The best way I think they could have gone about it is, because Heyman was still in good terms with the company at the time, why not just give him Paul Heyman? It's not like they didn't work together before. I don't know why they didn't just give Shelton Paul Heyman. It would have made so much more sense, but maybe Heyman didn't want to do anything on screen at this time, but it's like, no, I don't think that really makes sense because he shows up like later in the year when the ECW gets rebranded and all that thing. I mean, obviously, this is with the hindsight, that obviously they would have had to end that partnership anyways randomly because Heyman would have gone to ECW and do that, so Shelton would have been left in the dust anyways.
Not necessarily. I mean, he could have brought him over to ECW.
Yeah, true. So, anyhow, but yeah, I think that's what happened here. I don't, like I said,
I'm gonna make sure you're fed well, and then she goes off screen, and then you're just. Yeah, it felt like a Raw segment, bro. It felt like a Raw.
But there'll be more on this later. Then they do WWE Instant Access. This was pretty much basically what the post shows nowadays for AEW and WWE now, where like the fans can ask questions to the wrestlers. I think you had to have like a subscription on the website to do this. Not anybody could do this. I don't know anyone that has done this, so I can't really say if it was a success or not. Obviously, it fizzles out eventually because YouTube media and stuff gets so big that they don't really use the website. Like I don't really think they use the website really at all anymore.
No,
like, I think they just update like, huh?
No, why would they?
Yeah. But Edge and Lita come up and they're going to answer questions from the fans. And Edge doesn't want to because he doesn't like the fans, but he says, I got other plans for the night. And obviously this is a callback because this ends up going somewhere later in the night. So Lita goes to answer some questions instead. So this was pretty decent. Next, Jerry the King Lawler faces Gregory Helms. They were having a match because Jerry the King Lawler was putting down Gregory Helms for not being much of a wrestler and all that type of stuff. And Gregory Helms was putting down Jerry Lawler for just being an old has-been. So that led to this match here.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I'll just talk about the match before we give our thoughts on the finish and everything. They both chain wrestle pretty well. Let's do the rant first. This is where Coachman's commentary gets insufferable because he's just healing it up at this point, and he just won't shut up. He's just ragging on Kin. I think there's at one point where he mentions that like Jerry the King Lawler has been wrestling as long as Jesus. It was just not even a good line at all because
Dude, he just yeah.
I could tell. I think Joey Styles was legitimately annoyed doing this.
As he should have been. I mean, he has to contend with Coachman not shutting up and repeating shit that Vince is feeding to him like a parrot. And then he has to deal with Vince probably yelling in his fucking ear.
So they both chain wrestle each other. Jerry Lawler gets the upper hand throughout much of the match. Eventually, Gregory Helms takes over. He hits 3 suplexes. They weren't the 3 amigos because he didn't do like obviously how Eddie would do them. They were just 3 regular suplexes. He throws Ken to the outside. He gets on commentary. Like he grabs the headset and like says that Ken's not going to make it out here, and I'm going to sit out here after I'm done with him. I'm not even breaking a sweat. This is when I can tell Joey Styles is like legitimately annoyed. Like he doesn't say anything. I think he's clearly supposed to say something, but he just looks like he just looks at Gregory Helms like really annoyed. Like
yeah.
And even Coachman's like, wait, I didn't hear you saying anything when he got over here, and I think he tries to sell it by like says I didn't feel the need to say anything, but you could just tell that Joey Styles.
And then Joey just goes and is like, you know what? Fuck being unbiased. I hope Lawler kicks his fucking head off.
Yeah, but you could just tell Joey Styles is legitimately annoyed here.
Oh yeah, he's bullshit during this. Yeah.
Gregory Helms throws Lawler into the post. They fight into the ring. Jerry the King Lawler mounts a comeback. He takes the strap down and starts going off on Gregory Helms. He goes for a pile driver, but he gets countered because obviously pile drivers were banned at this time. Only like Undertaker could do them. Eventually, Gregory Helms goes to go off the top rope. He gets crossed by Kid. He hits the right fist, and you're like, okay, he has to kick out here, right? No, he doesn't kick out.
I was so fucking annoyed by this. Like, just give it a 1 star. This was a waste of time. Why would you go through this goddamn character metamorphosis just to have him lose to Jerry Lawler? This is what you did with Taz! Did you not learn anything from Taz? Nothing!
Pretty much.
The fuck, dude?
I give this like a I give this the same. I originally put 3, but now that sometimes when you talk about it, you get more annoyed about it. I always actually found this annoying even when I was watching, but I didn't know any better about booking and all that type of stuff because I'm like, wait a minute, a Raw commentator. Because I also didn't know Lawler wrestled full-time and all that type of stuff. But it's even more annoying now. Just beat one of your full-time competitors. I even thought that back then. Like,
yeah, it's nobody buys that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, listen, don't get me fucking wrong. There are still some old heads in WWE and AEW right now that are still going as if they've been going. They can still go in their prime. Okay, I'm not even denying that. They exist, okay? However, some people have cardio freaks of fucking nature. So you can... there's very few of them that exist, okay? Yeah. Fucking Mike Tyson came in to boxing again after years without much preparation at all. Had a rematch, I think, with frickin' Evander Holyfield, and this was back in, like, 2018. And had his first decision fucking victory. Which sounds like it's bad because it's Mike Tyson and they didn't win by knockout. But keep in mind that Tyson didn't fucking, like, come back and fucking go on and, actually be able to fully train properly. So the fact that that motherfucker could still go to a decision and win by decision, by the way... That's just freak of fucking nature. That happens in sports. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But Jerry Lawler ain't even the fucking equivalent in a wrestling capacity to Mike fucking Tyson. Why is fucking Jerry Lawler beating Gregory Helms, who you just changed gimmicks for?
I know.
What are you doing? That makes 0 sense.
He looked like a goofy the way he lost too. It wasn't just that he lost. He looked like a goof.
Oh my god, he looked like the biggest goofball. Like, it didn't make any sense, dude. Why are you having this guy take an L? It's dumb. It's not smart. This is why people stop tuning in. Because you're fucking... Like, this is the early signs of where the WWE would end up for years. Years, dude. Yeah. Like, bro, the young guy should be your focal point. WWE finally got it right because Triple H finally got the fucking book.
Yeah.
It took ages for that to happen. Bro, you're not gonna you're not gonna look at fucking Anderson Silva nowadays to be able to beat a guy like fucking Conor McGregor. Even at his stage now. Like, you're just not gonna see that.
Look, we've seen before too, like, you should, like, the young guys don't always have to win, but like, I would say like 90% of the time, the young guy should always beat the veteran.
Usually, yeah.
Obviously, there's rare exceptions. Like, obviously, an exception to me was obviously when Jericho became the first ever AEW champion over Page. That was fine. Another one was like, Brock Lesnar when he beat, I think Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel last year. That was fine because one, he didn't really win fairly and all that type of stuff, and the storyline kept going. There's rare exceptions where you can do that. Like, obviously, like, I'm okay if John Cena comes back and wins every now and then because you have to get – because that's the one thing. It got to – like, Jericho, it got to a point where, like, he lost so often he wasn't a special name anymore. So I get you have to sometimes have the legend win, but this was not the time for it to happen. This was a terrible time for it to happen.
Jerry Lawler wasn't going to be in the future fucking storylines even 4 months down the line. Gregory Helms.
Not even on this show.
Not even on this show. Yeah.
He goes back to commentary. They never talk about the match ever again.
Dude, the only time it made sense, the only time they booked Lawler in a losing battle was The Miz when you really think about it, because he won everything. They gave him all sorts of wins against young guys.
No, he lost to Hassan the year prior to this.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Hassan, who you had to fucking like bury because of Vince McMahon doesn't realize that he shouldn't have gone the terrorist route with Hassan's character, right?
But yeah, so this was terrible. This is a 1-star. Like, the match is good, but the finish just really ruins this match. It turned a 3-star match into a 1-star match.
Honestly, for me, it would have been a 2-star just because of Coachman's incessant heel commentary annoying the piss out of Joey.
If you want to know what both these wrestlers are, for Jerry the Kid Lawler, you can watch SummerSlam 2000 retro, and for Gregory Helms, you can watch New Year's Revolution 05 retro. Then it shows WWE.
Wait, he was on that show?
Yeah, he was in that poolside segment as the Hurricane. So yeah, it was.
There you go.
So WWE, it's in part 2. The website then. Lita gets done answering questions, so she leaves, and her and Trish Stratus have a face-off, which was cool. And obviously led to the retirement match, but it was cool that they had a face-off. And Mickie James comes up and congratulates her on the match and says that they had a great match together. But Trish is like, you lost, right? Like, because Mickie doesn't mention that you lost. Like, oh yeah, but I'm gonna learn next time, and maybe next time we'll have an even better match and all that type of stuff. And Todd Grisham's like, okay, you got to sit down and answer questions. And Mickie James like takes Trish Stratus's like seats and is going to answer questions with Trish Stratus. And Todd's like, okay, I guess Mickie James is going to join us as well. It was obviously good planting the seeds right there. So I'm going to tell you this. You didn't see this. They do a WWE.com like exclusive after the pay-per-view where Trish Stratus is leaving and Mickie James comes up again and like wants to know what Trish Stratus is doing. She's like, I'm just going to go back to my hotel. And Mickie offers to get drinks with her and stuff. And Trish says, I just want to hang out in my hotel. And Mickey's like, oh, can I come with you? We can sit down and just talk and stuff like that. And she says like a line where it's obvious she has other plans back in the hotel room, but I forget what it was. And Trish's like, nah, I'm just going to go and I just want to be myself tonight. And then they just kind of walk off. And then there's something else that happens that we'll talk about in a second. But this just great plant in the siege right here of the Trish Stratus Mickie James storyline. So
I do also want to point out, since we're on the subject of the women, while we did have good matches between Mickey and Beth, we should also just say the elephant in the room here. The minute Trish is having to retire, Lita's going away also.
Yep.
Bro, the women's division was never the same after that. They fucked that royally after they left. The minute Trish and Lita were gone, dude, that was the last of that fucking era too. Because I don't think Molly Holly was around anymore. Victoria's they barely fucking used.
Yeah.
They basically used it, which is fucked up because they basically just used fucking Victoria's eye candy after her loss to Trish, and it's like, dude, nobody gives her enough credit for her matches with Trish.
I think in 2015 they talked about how a women's evolution was coming and all that stuff. There was a women's evolution like in 2002 to like 2006, but they fucked it up really bad. Like,
oh boy, did they ever.
Yeah. Then we get Shelton Benjamin's mama in catering, and she's looking through. All they have for catering is just a peanut butter jelly sandwich, potato chips, and like an orange juice, like juice block and stuff. And she's like, "This is not good food. She calls it first grader food. That's just legit what she calls it, first grader food," which is hilarious. She's like, "My baby doesn't need this. He needs real food." And she's like trying to find like something else, and she's bending over, and you hear Viscera's theme song hits, and it's really weird because I think we hear it, but like she doesn't hear it. It's like meant to be like only the fans hear the theme song playing because when he comes up,
it never even though there's a fucking light show going on all around her. By the way, like what is this?
Well, to be fair,
cheesy.
To be fair, she probably didn't see the light. She probably didn't see the light show because she was trying to find Shelton Benjamin something to eat, though. So
bro, it doesn't matter. The fucking what do you mean? They're strobe lights. They're red. The whole room went dark.
That's fair.
Bro,
so Viscera comes up and makes a lot of comments about junk in the trunk type of thing, and is doing a lot of weird sexual gestures to her. And then Shelton Benjamin's mama gets up and just takes offense to this. She sold this great right here. The way she sold like Viscera.
She did great. It's just fuck me. Why? No, I don't like anal destruction, Viscera. It's weird, man. Yeah. It's really weird.
So then Viscera offers to
be her daddy.
Be her daddy, and she's like, "Oh, you want some action tonight? We'll give you some action in the ring later tonight." And I think Viscera thinks it's going to go somewhere else, but obviously it's just going to turn into a match. But again, why is this on a pay-per-view that people are paying like $50 for? Like,
yeah, no buys. I mean, this wouldn't have gotten buys for the fucking show anyway, but
yeah.
Oh boy, wow.
What do you think of this segment?
It was a segment.
Yeah, there you go. Next, we have Big Show versus Triple H. This is kind of a funny feud, but like decently personal, I guess. So Triple H,
that fucking dude gets his head smashed by a sledgehammer. This is kind of a funny feud, but personal, I guess.
Well, I say funny because of what happens after that, but let me talk about how we got there first. So,
okay, fair enough.
Triple H had just come off his feud with Ric Flair and like destroyed him in the Last Man Standing match, and they teased that the Big Show was going to face Triple H in the future because backstage they were doing the Flair feud. Big Show told Triple H that his time would come. So it led to this feud here where Big Show talked about how he doesn't need sledgehammers or any of that to destroy people. And he challenges Triple H to fight him man-to-man, and Triple H refuses. And it led to both of them having qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber, and they both cost each other the qualifying match. Triple H started it, and Big Show got his revenge for it. So it led to this match here. During the contract signing, Triple H calls Big Show like a big fatty and all that type of stuff. And it led to the Big Show nearly like trying to choke Triple H to death. And he stabbed Big Show in the eye.
I don't need a team to beat your ass, fat boy, or something like that.
Yeah. And it led to Big Show getting stabbed in the eye with a pen by Triple H, and then he took a sledgehammer and smashed Big Show's hand.
Which, by the way, he had the sledgehammer propped up underneath the table just so that way he could do this.
Yeah. I don't know why he had to have it plopped up under the table, though. He could have just gone under the ring and gone. I guess it was to make him look smart, but like it's not like he always keeps the sledgehammer under the ring anyway, so I don't get that. But yeah, it led to we were questioning whether or not the Big Show was going to make it to this match, and Triple H explained that everything that he does in this ring, he does to plan things out. He's articulate about that, and Triple H thought he had everything well in hand. And then you see the Big Show. My favorite thing of this whole video package, you just see the Big Show come out. He's got like this giant, like cartoon-sized cast on his hand,
bro.
And
boy, did he ever!
Yeah, and basically, Big Show got a weapon out of this because he was able to use the cast as a weapon, and they
let's just say this right now. Okay, so he had a cast as a weapon. This cast, like, is obnoxiously large, right?
Yeah.
Like, all around his hand. It looks like it's a fucking 10-ounce boxing glove, the fucking thing. So he's, like, coming through, and I think Triple H tries to hit him with the fucking monitor.
Yeah.
Big Show fucking punches the monitor, and it disintegrated. Triple H went, oh shit. And then he just started punching objects, showing that it wouldn't hurt him. And so he just started denting everything in sight, obliterating everything in sight. This is the weapon of mass destruction we all deserve right here. He's just fucking punching everything, bro. Oh my god.
But yeah, so yeah, that led to this match here. I will say the storyline in the match was good. I don't think they needed to do the whole Big Show, I have a cast gimmick. They could have just had a match, but it's whatever. Because that ends up being the whole story of the match. I thought that's why I say personal feud, but goofy, because I feel like they should have just taken that out. Like, Big Show should have just been
Big Show should have just fucking knocked him straight out and won the match here. He should have just hit one punch. He should have just ran right at him and hit it. That would have been it.
But anyhow...
Oh, Triple H has a big-time concussion now because Big Show hit him with this comically large goddamn cast that apparently can obliterate cinder blocks, TV monitors, and chairs.
Yeah. So, going through the match, when Triple H is making his entrance, he's hesitant to go into the ring because he's worried about being hit by the Big Show. Eventually, the referee is able to hold back the Big Show. There's a lot of teasing where Big Show goes to hit him with the casp, and Triple H, there's a lot of stall in the beginning where Triple H rolls out to the outside and stuff. Good story building there. I feel like they did it a bit too much in the beginning. I think they should have just done it like twice. I think they did it like 4 times. It was kind of annoying at that point.
Yeah.
It might have been like 3, but 3 was like, okay, we get it now. You're afraid to get hit. Eventually, the Big Show, it gets goofy because Big Show hits a headbutt. And he just starts using the other hand. He doesn't even use the cartoon size hand at this point. He just uses his other hand. It's
fuck? Why? Use the fucking cast hand. Yeah, why are you using the other hand? You have him, dude. Fucking hit him.
Yeah, Big Show's just dominating Triple H. He hits a really cool body slam on him. He clotheslines him to the outside. He hits a chop while he's pawned up against the barricade. The Big Show style chop where he does like that instead.
He's just showing off. Just punch him!
Yeah.
Punch him!
Eventually, at one point, Big Show puts Triple H back in the ring, and Triple H runs at him with a high knee, and he goes to jump on him. Big Show catches him. He rams him back first into the post, and he goes for a clothesline with the cast. Triple H ducks, and he hits the steel post with it. And,
with his inner hand like a dumb fuck. Why did you do this?
Then Triple H starts targeting the hand of the Big Show. He does some pretty good stuff here. He gets him into arm bars. He puts it against the post, and he's just trying to get the cast to come off so that way that protection's gone away. And I'm pretty sure the cast comes off sooner than it was supposed to because there was no build up to anything. It just came off. But I'm pretty sure because the fin is so big that it just came off anyways. So I don't, that ended up being pretty useless. But Again, I think that was a botch. I don't think it was supposed to come off when it did. I think it was supposed
It
to
is
be
what
like
it is. It's so dumb, bro. Is it really? I don't know. It's stupid. The point is, it's stupid.
Yeah.
He's attacking the hand, and then eventually Big Show tries to fire a comeback, tries to choke slam him with a bad hand. They're just making Big Show look like such a dope in this match.
Yeah.
Fucking Triple H shoves him away. Then there's a ref bump, and then it's a no DQ match, pretty much.
Other things I want to mention is, Triple H, the Big Show's hand too was really bruised like during this, like it was really red.
Yeah.
So that's a no DQ match from this point. They fight to the outside. Big Show tries to throws Triple H into the steps, and he tries to pick up the steps, but he obviously can't pick the steps up because of his bad hand. And eventually, Triple H holds him onto the steps. And
That's after he hit him right below the belt, and then he holds him into the stairs, and then he gets a steel chair and just smashes them on his hand.
Yeah, and then eventually, Big Show's hits a desperate spear onto Triple H to change the momentum of the match. We forgot the biggest part of the match before any of this even happened is Triple H brought the sledgehammer out earlier, and Big Show uses the bad hand to break the sledgehammer, like it just breaks. Right in half.
It breaks right in half. Yeah.
Obviously, the sledgehammer was gimmicked because I don't think a sledgehammer would just break that way. But
apparently, if you have a superhuman cast, if anything's possible.
No, he didn't even have the cast. He just used his bad hand to break the sledgehammer. So,
what the fuck?
Then eventually Triple H hits a low blow, hits Big Show off the head with the sledgehammer, and he hits a pedigree, not a full pedigree, obviously, because Big Show's like 500 pounds at this time, and pins the Big Show and gets the win. Even though with the goofiness, I still gave the match like 3 3/4. I still thought it was very good. I just could have done without the whole Big Show in the cast gimmick. Like that made the match kind of bad. But I thought these two were still able to have like a very good match with each other. This might be like the best match Triple H and the Big Show have ever had with each other, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah, whatever. What was the rating you gave?
I give it like 3 3/4.
I gave it 3. I'll say 3.5. It was good. It's definitely better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, with the gimmick. The one thing that should have happened from this, though, is this should have been how Big Show debuted the WMD punch. Like, he should have had it after this. I don't know. Instead of like a year later.
By the way, he's a world tag team champion with Kane, by the way, during this time.
Yeah, you wouldn't have really known it at this time, huh?
Except for the fact that he had the belt on him.
Yeah. But, like, that's not really mentioned all that much and all that type of stuff. But,
no, because Vince hates tag team wrestling. Continue.
Yeah. But yeah, we've done career retrospectives on these guys before. They didn't really have a rematch or anything like that because there was no need to. I think Triple H was the right guy, obviously, to win this. There was really no reason for like the Big Show to win it. But whatever. Next, Carlito strategizes with Chris Masters. Basically, by the way, you want to talk about roids? You're not going to convince me otherwise. Chris Masters was clearly on steroids at this time. You could just tell Chris Masters was on steroids.
Yes, he was. And it even shows more since I've seen him in the NWA. He is definitely not on the juice anymore. There's no way he is. Bro, he looked like a fucking brick shithouse here.
But yeah, he's getting ready for the chamber match. Carlito comes up to him, and he asks what the other competitors in the match have in common. And Chris Masters says they haven't broken the master lock yet. And Carlito's like, well, that is good to think about, but they've also been WWE champion, and we haven't. And he said that that's not cool. So he suggests that they team up. And Chris Masters agrees and says, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So I actually like this segment here because they were obviously building like a tag team with Carlito and Chris Masters. Obviously that kind of gets undone a little bit, but I wish they had honestly had like a full-on team here. They were really good together, honestly.
Yes, they really were, yeah.
But I like this. What'd you think of the backstage segment before I break down the next match?
It was really good. I wish we got more with Carlito and Masters, really. I really do. I wish we could have seen Masters in the IC title division as well, mixing it up with Shelton and Nitro.
Yeah. Also, too, let's talk, because let's be real. Instead of who they probably at WrestleMania, because that was the Mania match that year, they should have dethroned Kane and the Big Show for the World Tag Team titles. They would have been great tag team champions together. I think.
At the same time, though, like the visual of Kane and Big Show as the tag team champions was pretty cool.
Well, remember who Kane and Big Show lose the belts to? They lose the belts.
I know. Maybe they never should have lost them.
Yeah. Well, obviously not never, but I get what you mean. Yeah.
Or like maybe they should have like lost them to an equally big duo. I don't know.
Yeah. But next we Shelton Benjamin and his mama come out, and Shelton Benjamin demands that Viscera comes out here and apologizes to his mama. But instead, his mama just grabs the mic and is like, "No, get out here, Viscera, right now. My Billy's gonna put a whooping on you right now. Get out here." And Viscera comes out, and it leads to a match. It's one of those things that you see nowadays where like a match just happens unannounced, all that type of thing. It was really dumb on a pay-per-view, no less. Jerry the King Lawler's back on commentary for this match, and he's really annoying, just making really offensive remarks towards Shelton Benjamin's mama. It was just really bad.
Yeah, and then he makes even more offensive remarks about Viscera, which is oddly strange that those words are coming out of my mouth, but
yeah.
it happens. It does happen.
So we have the match. Viscera destroys Shelton Benjamin throughout the beginning portions of the matchup. And I'll just say this. The match is really made better because of Shelton Benjamin's mama. You could just hear her screaming at Shelton Benjamin.
That's all it was. I was just listening to her screaming, "I'm going to whip you. I'm going to whip you with my belt. Don't make me get my belts."
It was awesome. So Viscera dominates at the beginning. He throws Shelton into the barricade at one point. Eventually, Shelton chop blocks his leg, and he works over the leg of Viscera. I'll say this. Shelton really bumped for Viscera here. Like, his selling really makes this match.
He's a good seller. It's almost like he's a really underrated pro wrestler and never should have been treated as a joke.
At one point, he hits a flying clothesline from the top turnbuckle onto Viscera. Eventually, Viscera mounts a comeback, and he hits the, what did they call it? I think it was the Visceria. It was basically, they basically mixed up his name with Viagra as his finish. And yeah, if you want to know what that move is,
well, I mean, unfortunately, there's some truth to this. Do you not know the story of Viagra?
Oh yeah, wasn't that big
Viscera would just buy Viagra from Teddy Long, and he'd just pop them in the back and just have a big hard cock for no reason. Yes, damn. I don't know why. There's no explanation for why, but that's what he did. Yeah. Thank you, Sean Oliver, for that information in that interview with Teddy. Anyway, yeah, he fucks him in the ass. With apparently his big, hard Viagra cock. Or, as I like to call it, anal destruction.
And then eventually, Shelton Benjamin gets control back. Behind the referee's back, Shelton's mama hits Viscera twice with the purse. I think she jumped the gun a little bit because she clearly the first time hits him right in front of the referee. But obviously, the ref just goes with it because I think she was a little too early on that. And then eventually, Shelton Benjamin hits the Enziguri kick where the guy catches his foot and then he just hits the kick anyway.
It's the dragon whip.
Yeah. And that's how Shelton Benjamin wins because he couldn't use the T-bone because I don't think he could get Viscera up for the T-bone suplex. So he basically had to win with that.
Should have done the pay dirt. Oh wait, that wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, he didn't use that yet. So. I give the match like 2.5 stars, mainly for Shelton Benjamin's mama.
I give it 2 stars, mainly because of Shelton Benjamin's mama.
Yeah. I don't know why this was on the pay-per-view. They clearly didn't need to fill time for the pay-per-view providers and stuff. So, there you go. I was going to say, I don't know why they didn't just have an IC title match, but I forgot they did. It was the Flair match was the IC title match. So, if you want to know where Shelton Benjamin is, you can watch Royal Rumble 08 Retro, and you can watch the same Retro if you want to know where Viscera is, because he plays Big Daddy V on that show. As for Shelton Benjamin's mama, she actually wouldn't last much longer on screen. She basically, they basically wrote her off after this, and then she basically went on to just have to continue her stand-up comedy and all that type of stuff.
Wait, she didn't appear afterwards? I thought she did.
I mean, she was gone in like a couple months after this, so.
Right, okay, fair enough.
So, next, Mr. McMahon wishes Shawn Michaels luck in the chamber match. He just breaks into Shawn Michaels' locker room, doesn't knock or anything. Like, what if Shawn was still, like, changing his wrestling attire? What were you doing, Vince?
Wouldn't be the first time he's broken into Shawn naked. I mean, what?
Has he done that before?
I cannot confirm nor deny, but there are rumors and allegations that Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels did do backstage during the new generation era. What do you mean, damn? Are you surprised? It's Vince.
Yeah, I was surprised Shawn would allow that though. So.
Dude, what do you mean? How would you be surprised?
Yeah, it's true.
Bro, look at him. Look at him in '97 and tell me that he wouldn't fucking take it up the ass.
Well, you were saying the new generation era. That wasn't '97. That was like '93 to like '96.
97 kind of counts. That whole time period, he would have done it. My point.
Okay, but
or at least
yeah, Vince
looks
McMahon,
like it. It is allegations at the end of the day. I will say it's allegations.
But Vince, they had just started that storyline with Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon, mainly because they had to switch Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania plans because, if you believe the rumors, he was meant to wrestle Eddie Guerrero, but obviously they had to change the plans because Eddie passed. So,
bro, Eddie and Shawn would have been outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm sad that we never got that.
Yeah. So so Vince McMahon was going to be the new opponent. They had just started teasing that feud. I mean, the one thing you could say, the one thing you can't hate about Vince is he did have long-term storytelling when it came to his feuds because he started his feuds like months before Mania. So,
now if only he had that same consistency for the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, he did for the women's belt, I guess, but yeah, get my point.
Oh, we'll get to the women in a moment.
But yeah, Vince McMahon wishes Shawn Michaels luck in the Elimination Chamber match, and he mentions that Shawn Michaels is going to be the first entrant in the match, which made sense because he didn't because they were feuding at this time. And he mentions that nobody ever did the Elimination Chamber match #1 and lasted all the way to the end. And Shawn Michaels mentions that he was the first one to compete in a ladder match at Mania, the first one to win the Royal Rumble at #1, and
first one to compete.
What else did he say? Yep. And I don't know why he didn't say he won the first chamber match because he did, but he didn't say that. But so he said he can do this, and Vince McMahon says, "Well, the time that happens will be when hell freezes over." But then again, and then the segment just ends. He just leaves after this. Like, did Vince forget what he was supposed to say or what? Because he was clearly supposed to say something else, but he just took off afterwards. Like,
I gotta go yell at Joey Styles' ear more. Like.
But I liked this backstage segment here.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Next, it shows the advertisement for WrestleMania 22. I don't think you saw this probably on the Peacock version, but I saw it on the DVD version. So
yeah, there you go.
Next, we had the first ever bra and panties gauntlet match. Woo! It was Ashley versus Maria versus Candice Michelle versus Tori Wilson versus Victoria. They had to explain the rules here. Basically, two women start the win. And when they're down to the bra and panties, the person who gets bra and panties out of the match, and then a new person comes out. Like I said, it was not the best time for Ken to come back to commentary because the next few matches were all things where he was just joking around up until the main event. I would have preferred Jerry the King Lawler stayed in the back until the main event.
There was a lot of puppies references, and there was a lot of females in scandalous clothing being shown.
Again, it's a lot like the Rumble 2000.
Let's just call it what it is. It's softcore porn. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Softcore porn on a WWE product in 2006. That's all it was.
So this is basically the same thing as the Rumble 2000 retro, where there's no storyline for this. I think Vince might have just been horny that day and felt like having a bra and panties match. To be honest, that's probably what happened here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Maria and Candice Michelle started the match, and Candice Michelle came out with a magic wand here. The reason I mentioned that is, I don't know if you ever played SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. That was a freaking storyline in one of the story modes in SVR 2007. If you remember.
I played it. I remember. Remember. What did they fucking turn you into? I forget.
So you got turned into a woman to face her in a match. If you remember, you turned into the Boogeyman. And if you remember, Edge was in that storyline, and she made like Daivari voice come out of you, like it was clearly Daivari's voice, and then she turned Edge like into the Boogeyman with Daivari's voice, and then I think eventually you have like a ladder match for the magic wand, and you win the ladder match. And you break the magic wand at the end.
That's right. That's right. Okay. What a strange fucking feud idea.
Believe it or not, by the way, that's not even the weirdest story mode.
No,
like the weirdest thing that happens in the story.
No,
mode.
It's not. It's not even close. Although I will say the most wildest moment of all time is when Booker T goes pendejo. I don't know what a pendejo is with bug eyes all over the place.
I think I remember that, yeah. I remember do you remember there was a storyline there where like JBL pretends to be your friend to get the world title?
Yes,
And it's clearly obvious that he's going to be your friend, but you can either choose to give him a title match or not give him a title match. But no matter what you choose, he turns on you anyways.
This is a great fucking RPG, THQ, thanks.
Yeah. I remember there's also that it always starts with like the GM promise you, hey, if you get to 5 wins, I'll give you a world title match. But I'm pretty sure it's like less than 5 wins, they give you a title match anyways. I think I won like 3 matches and I got a world title shot out of it. So, what a great. I love 2007 as a game, but boy, were their storylines freaking whacked. I don't know who was writing those storylines.
No, and you could have your own locker room. You have your own fucking penthouse locker room. Why?
Yeah,
that's not how that works. But all right.
But anyhow, so yeah, Maria and Candice Michelle start. I thought they had actually a decent exchange here. They didn't have a bad exchange. You could tell Candice Michelle was trying to learn how to wrestle, and Maria was Maria.
Well, at that time, yeah. And by the way, Maria would get better as time went on.
Yeah, you could tell. I think Maria was not bad, at least in the Candice Michelle part of the match. I think Candice Michelle was the ring veteran there, apparently. Eventually, they do a good spot here where Candice Michelle gets tied up to the ropes, and her bra's already... Well, not her bra, but she's already down to a bra at this point, and they take off, like, her bottoms, and she's down to her panties. I thought that was a decent spot. Then Tori Wilson comes out, and if you remember, I believe at this time, it was Candice Michelle, Tori Wilson, and Victoria, I believe, were, like, part of Vince's Devils, that faction, if you remember. I think they changed the name eventually.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So they go at it for a bit.
That's right.
Eventually they do like a spot which would be in every women's match at this time where the women's would roll around and they would roll around over the referee. And Tori Wilson argues with the referee, thinking that the referee touched her inappropriately. And it leads to her getting, I think Maria coming up from behind and like pulling like her bottoms or top down. I forget which one. I think it was the bottoms. There's that. I think next was who was next? Was it Victoria?
Yep.
It was Victoria. By the way, we should mention Tori Wilson came out to Michelle McCool's theme song, by the way.
That was.
And Maria came out.
That threw me for a loop. It does every time I hear it. I forgot she had it at one point.
Maria came out to Alicia Fox's theme song, but she had like.
That's what it was. I was trying to figure out what the fuck it was. I'm like, I've heard this before.
Yeah, it's Alicia Fox's theme song.
Jesus Christ.
And then eventually Victoria comes out, and she just destroys Maria, rips her bra and panties off. I think at one point. Now, I'm not sure what the rules of the match was, by the way. They don't really make it clear because Tori Wilson doesn't get her pants pulled down really at all, but she gets pulled down to just to like like her pants are down, but not all the way. They're like barely even down. I don't think you're allowed to pull them back up afterwards because she has to stay that way like the rest of the match. They don't really make that clear because I'm pretty sure it happens to like Victoria and she's able to just pull them back up like in the corner. I don't know if that was like behind the referee's back type of thing. They don't really make that clear in this match. Again, you can't really look at this logically. Then all of a sudden, we just did this retro too, so it didn't feel good watching this again. It wasn't as bad as that one though.
It was still pretty bad.
Victoria, they didn't learn the lesson from Rumble 2000.
No, again.
Victoria is waiting for the next opponent, and then Mae Young's music hits, and the Fabulous Mover comes out with her. And Jerry the Kid Lawler says everything that I think the fans are thinking. They're like, oh, no, she can't be in this match. But Mae Young comes out, and she takes off her clothes. And the fan's reaction just says it all. I think you saw like a fan was going like this, and then he went like this. There was a fan crying in the crowd. And I think
there was a what? There was a fan crying in the crowd?
Yeah, there was a fan crying in the crowd.
A kid, a woman, or who?
It was like it wasn't a woman. It was like a middle-aged man. I think he didn't want to see Mae Young in a blonde.
He was crying. Oh my god! Come on, dude.
Yeah. And let's also mention they play this music. By the way, I think it was the same music for the swimsuit.
For the 2000, contest. Yes, it was 2000.
Yeah.
It felt like deja vu. I couldn't believe my eye. I'm like, no, not again. Please, make it stop.
And then they go to leave, and Victoria attacks Mae Young from behind, and Fabulous Moolah helps.
Yeah, no wonder why. She got upstage. She's pissed.
Yeah. And then this doesn't sound good to say nowadays. Fabulous Moolah holds down Victoria as Mae Young takes off like her bra.
Yeah, they're molesting her live on television. That's what is going on.
It's not good. I mainly say it's not good to say nowadays, knowing that if you don't know the history about Fabulous Moolah,
especially with Moolah, yeah, like and Mae Young doesn't look good in this either. Doing that, yeah.
By the way, this takes a while. The crowd's dead, and this takes a while. It's
uncomfortably long, dude. It might as well have been a molestation live on air of Victoria by Mae Young and Moolah. It was not.
So then they get
it was not pretty. It was bad.
Yeah. Then they get escorted out of the ring.
No, don't say escorted. Extorted. Don't make it worse. No.
That's what happened.
No, X! Is it escorted or extorted? No, I don't know. Either one's bad. Ah!
So then it's time for the last entrant. It's Ashley. And,
oh, jeez. Yeah.
Victoria's already down to a bra at this point, so she's at a disadvantage here. So was Fabulous Moolah even an entrant in the match? I don't think she was, right?
No, she was not. She was not in the participant in this matchup.
No, Mae Young. I meant to say Mae Young. I botched that. Was it
Either one. No, they were not part of the match.
So then Ashley comes out and she very easily strips Victoria down to her blonde panties, and then afterwards she just takes off her clothes anyways. And there was a funny bit in the match.
Yeah, why not? Go ahead.
Yeah. There was a funny bit like doing this where Jerry the Kid Lawler, of course it's Lawler that asked this. So everybody wins except for the last entrant in the match because like obviously they wouldn't take off their blonde panties. Well, Ashley just answered all those questions right there. But this match is like
Ashley got undressed and into her blonde panties. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would have given this match a 2 had the Mae Young thing not happen. I'm thinking I'm gonna go like a stop.
It's going 0. Stop doing this. I can't do it
Thank
anymore.
God these days are over. Yeah.
Stop it. Okay. I have to give it a 0 in all seriousness too because for those who don't know, the allegations that were laid on to Vince McMahon when he was forced to resign this last year One of them happened to be from Ashley Massaro's closest family members.
That's
She
fair.
took her life not too long ago, I think. And
Right before, it was the year before the pandemic.
yes, dude. And now, anytime I see her, I just get really uncomfortable.
I don't
It
blame
doesn't
you.
mean I won't review it, because I mean I'm not for like not reviewing shit. But I almost didn't. I almost contemplating not even covering this at all and skipping over it, because it does make me uncomfortable. Because you got to think that Vince was asking her even back then to fucking come backstage with the boys at Top Coach.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really gross and uncomfortable.
So yeah, I mentioned this more to that Mickey James segment I said earlier in the night, where she tried to get Trish Stratus to go to Trish Stratus' hotel room. So Mae Young comes up to her after that segment and tries to do the mistletoe thing, tries to get Mickey James to kiss her. This is uncomfortable. Fabulous Moolah pushes Mickey James into the kiss by. I mean, it's not like she forces it, but it's like she clearly has an assist. She pushes her, and then Fabulous Moolah kisses her. And then Mickey James takes off. And then Fabulous Moolah says, "Okay, mate, it's time to go home. You caused enough trouble for the night." It's like, wait, you're causing some of this trouble also. What are you doing? Like, yeah,
Wouldn't
this
be
is
it wouldn't be the first time she's fucking whored around her women in the industry.
Next, we had another WWE Instant
Fuck
Classic.
Moolah, by the way. Sorry, I have to say.
We had another WWE Instant Access, the final one of the night. Shelton Benjamin and his mama are going to answer questions. I would have loved to have been on this one.
I would have loved to have seen this, bro. Bro, so Shelton's all piped up because he's finally got a W, right? And then they go to sit down for these questions. And then all of a sudden, Benjamin's mama just pulls out a brick in the goddamn purse. I was like, oh! I see, so you hit him with a brick. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Shelton was like, I didn't ask for that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but...
Okay.
I liked it. It was good.
It was good. It was fun.
Then we had the main event. It was the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. It was John Cena defending against Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Chris Masters, Carlito, and Kane. Obviously, not a lot of storylines here, but there was some. John Cena was the champ, so that's what got him into this match. And each competitor had to have a qualifying match to get into this match. So Kurt Angle qualified by beating Ric Flair. Shawn Michaels qualified by beating The Big Show. Chris Masters qualified by beating Viscera. Carlito qualified by beating Shelton Benjamin. And Kane qualified by beating Triple H. And everybody had an issue with each other in this match. John Cena and Kurt Angle had just come off their feud for the title last year. And Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels had their history from WrestleMania and their trilogy of matches in 2005. Carlito and Chris Masters were known as the young guys. They were like kind of the guys that you wouldn't think were going to get that far in the match, which they told really well in this storyline. And honestly, Kane, it kind of sucks to say, was kind of just there. He was just kind of there to take up another name in the match, which kind of sucks. The biggest thing that Kane had going for him was he was going to be the last guy in the Chamber match because they had to beat the clock chat. They had to beat the clock challenge where Kane won. And
Nice.
Shawn Michaels had to start the match because he had beef with Vince McMahon. So everybody had issues here. So this is where we can finally talk about why it was a bad idea that John Cena went to Raw in the brand split. Because boy, did he get booed when he came out. And it was probably worse. It was almost as bad as One Night Stand. I guess it never gets that bad, but you could just definitely tell the fans were turning on Cena, at least the hardcore fans. And it was in Albany, New York.
I want to just point this out there also before we continue any further. The idea that Cena couldn't wrestle is bullshit, and that narrative needs to die.
Yeah.
The reason people booed Cena is because they were turning him into the next Hulk Hogan with the 5 moves of doom.
Yeah.
Making it look like he couldn't wrestle. And the second problem is, it might as well have been like the Reign of Terror never ended, they just transferred guys.
For sure.
That's it. That's the reason. That is the sole reason why Cena got booed.
Well, there's a third reason I want to.
Well, I mean, the third reason is because he got drafted to Raw. I think if he'd stayed on SmackDown, this wouldn't have been a problem.
Because think about who he started wrestling all the guys that wrestling, like the Shawn Michaels and the Kurt Angles and Jericho's on Raw.
Yes. This is after, by the way, Shawn Michaels just had that bullshit happen with Hogan, right?
Yeah.
This is after, like, Jericho just had the run of his career. This is when Christian should have had his fucking time, honestly, to sniff the main event scene. Now, you could make the argument that Batista may have gotten the same treatment if he stayed on Raw and done what Cena was doing, but, like, I think it would have been a little less bad. Because the thing is, Batista was fucking over when he was on Raw. He was majorly over. He was over on SmackDown, too. So I don't think his fan support would have wavered, even though he kind of had he had, like, way more issues as far as work rate than Cena did. But he was good. He was over. He was a megastar already by that point. He didn't need to trade. Cena needed to stay on SmackDown.
Yeah,
and that was it, really. I think.
Well, if you remember too, let's look at the wrestlers Batista was wrestling on SmackDown. JBL, who everyone hated.
Which would have made sense I mean, I guess you couldn't do him versus JBL again.
Yeah.
But then just have him versus Booker T or something.
He also wrestled Eddie. And you gotta remember too, this even though everyone liked Eddie, this was right after Eddie was like having that heel run with Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, and Cena would have been perfect for that too, because he was friends with all those guys the year prior. They had a Survivor Series team that year.
And Batista and Cena would have wrestled Muhammad, like, maybe not, obviously that wouldn't have happened, obviously, because of, actually, if you think about it, if Cena stayed on SmackDown, this is weird enough, that Muhammad Hassan thing probably might have never happened. Because if you remember, that feud got launched because they didn't have a world title on SmackDown.
I think it just came down to they traded them to Raw way too fucking quick.
Yeah.
Because they wanted that ratings pop. That's what it was. They kept him on Raw because Vince wanted him on Raw because Raw was his baby and fuck SmackDown. It wasn't his creation, so why the fuck does he care? And they tried to treat him like Hogan. They slowly were stripping him away of what made him fucking cool. They were already starting that process.
Maybe that's the thing, too, why people turned on Cena. Because if you remember, the Cena we see here is way different than the one we saw at WrestleMania 2021.
Yeah,
Batista
he's
never
slowly
changed.
Getting out of the world life bullshit. Like he's trying to be for the kids. And I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah. They kept what they...
I'm not saying he shouldn't have regular promos. If they wanted to go that route... Cena, as we know now, and even back then, could hold his own on the fucking stick. We know this.
Yeah.
But don't abandon everything that helped you. Right? They fucked over Cena in so many ways I can't even begin to imagine.
Yeah. Because think about this. That's why also they didn't turn on Batista. They kept what was working with Batista and kept it going.
True.
So maybe if Batista had stayed on Raw, who's to say he would have gotten booed? Because they didn't change anything about Batista, really. Did he
even get? Did he get booed? Did Batista ever get booed? I don't think he did. The only time I can even recall him getting booed is in his lead up to fighting Taker, and even that it made sense anyway. So
like they probably. I think they probably turned... Like, he got stale a bit, like, in 08 and, like, 09.
And then they turned heel.
Yeah, but, like, it's really tough to say, though, too, because this also wasn't fair, because we don't really know when it comes to Batista, because he also got injured, maybe when that question...
Yeah, but if you swapped them around, it could have been Cena with the accidental injury, and Batista would be in the spot.
But Cena going to Raw was just a terrible idea. But yeah, going through this match though, really good chamber match here. John Cena and Shawn Michaels start the match, which was pretty cool. even though they locked up in a triple threat before this was the first time like Cena and Michaels locked up like one-on-one at all. And let's just talk about that chemistry. Even though it's not that long, they wrestle was instant. They instantly had chemistry.
Yeah. Crowd was fucking going nuts when they locked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they were cheering for the guy and booing the other, which was not the intended plan, I'm sure.
Not much happened. No, I think this was a change of the rule, by the way. They mentioned that like every 4 minutes a competitor comes out. I don't think that was always a rule. I mean, I obviously know. I think they definitely changed the time.
Oh yeah, that time goes way fucking quicker as time goes on for sure.
But then Carlito comes out next, and I didn't talk about this in the last retro. So how they do the entrances is they have a spotlight set up, and it goes around to all the pods and stuff, and it lands on that thing. Obviously, they had the time embedded right here because I don't think you saw 05. 05, it was fucking off. Like the spotlight wouldn't stop, and someone would come out. So they clearly figured out the time in here much better. So that's good. They overdo it, which I'll talk about in a second. I like that they added that in there, though. Pretty cool stuff. Carlito comes out next, and he really holds his own, honestly, against Cena and Michaels. He does some really good stuff here. He hits a flip dive to the outside onto the steel grated on the outside onto Shawn Michaels, and he just catches his back really badly on that grated. Like it was really bad.
It was awful looking bump.
I don't think he moved the same really after this too. He was kind of walking.
What Cena? Are you talking about HBK or Carlito?
I'm talking about Carlito.
Yeah,
he takes.
He fucked himself up bad here. I think he even says to this day he's not the same after that bump.
Yeah. But he goes off on everybody, hits a really cool drop kick on Cena. Eventually, Cena and Michaels actually kind of start working together, take him out. They hit a double flapjack onto him. Eventually, though, it's time for Kurt Angle to come out. And he just comes out like a machine.
Bro,
like, he just goes
fucking
off.
goes insane, bro.
He hits a German suplex onto Michael. No, a belly-to-belly to Michaels, and he lands back first. And he hits a German suplex onto Carlito. This did get messed up because he was supposed to clearly land on the grating. But to be honest, it's kind of a good mess up. Because I don't think Angle actually fucked up. I think he realized, okay, if I actually get this right here, like Carlito was going to be fucked because if he takes a bad bump onto that grating, he's done. So I think Kurt Angle actually
could have been fucked up like for the rest of his career, honestly. Yeah.
But Kurt Angle starts like getting people into the ankle lock and stuff. He's just a machine out there. Like it's crazy how great Kurt Angle is. Like, and then the next entrant is Chris Masters. And this is where they do that spotlight deal again. I'm like, why are you doing the spotlight deal? We know Kane's the last guy. It's obviously going to Chris Masters coming in next. Like, what drama are you trying to set up there? So I didn't get that. But yeah, Chris Masters comes out.
A live audience didn't know.
They knew because it was on the storyline. So.
Fuck. Oh
well. Kurt Angle has Carlito in the ankle lock at this point. He has to come out and save Chris Masters to come out and save him. And Chris Masters attacks Kurt Angle. He goes for the master lock, but Angle counters it into ankle lock, which Cena breaks up. I'm always going to mention this anytime in an elimination match. As you guys know, I've mentioned it on your guys' show before. Why do people break up submission holds or pinfalls in an elimination match? I don't get that at all. That doesn't make any sense. Cena goes for the FU. Angle counters that into an ankle lock. And this is really cool. Shawn Michaels hits the sweet chin music out of nowhere and eliminates Kurt Angle. Thought that was a really good spot right there. Yeah. Angle is out early and everything like that, but to be honest, I don't think it made Angle look weak at all because he just got hit with a lucky kick and all that type of stuff, and I honestly don't think it hurt Kurt Angle at all that he just got hit with a lucky shot like that. And it's a sweet chin music. It was a pretty protected finish at that time.
Yeah. True.
But honestly, this ends up being the undoing of Shawn Michaels and John Cena because at this point, Carlito and Chris Masters start working together, and they just maul Cena and Michaels from this point. And then it's time for Kane to come in. And this is when they do that spotlight deal again. I'm like, why are you doing the spotlight deal? Kane's the last guy to come into the match.
He's the last fucking dude. Yeah. Like, why, guys?
Yeah.
Is he actually the last guy? Maybe you don't know. Maybe it's somebody else. You never know in the chamber.
Yeah. But then Kane comes out. He goes on a reign of terror onto Carlito and Chris Masters, hits all his signature moves and everything like that, hits the flying clothesline. He chokeslams Cena. He chokeslams Michaels. I forgot to mention when Angle came out at one point, he slingshots Michaels into the chain link fence, which busts him open earlier. He actually throws Michaels like into the pod. The pod breaks, and you just see Michaels' blood just on the pod, which was pretty cool. And Michaels' blood just all over the canvas. Like you could tell it's Shawn Michaels' blood at this point. But then Kane goes to chokeslam Carlito onto the steel grating on the outside, but Chris Masters goes to counter into a master lock. Kane gets out of it. Carlito hits the backstabber on Kane. They think they have Kane down. He sits up, and they knock him down. They hit a double DDT onto him. He sits up again. Then eventually they knock him down again. Chris Masters picks up Carlito in the Gorilla Press and drops him onto Kane. They both cover him.
That was a really good Gorilla Press, by the way.
Yeah. I thought they protected Kane pretty well here because it took two guys to eliminate him. It's just kind of sucks. Kane really didn't do too much in this match. He was just kind of there to take up a name. Again, I've mentioned it before. WWE really did, even though Kane's a name in the business and stuff, they really did Kane dirty in his career. Like he should have been. I don't think it's WWE. I also think it's a little bit on Kane because I think Kane was a bit too unselfish to a point where he didn't really. Like, he could have been more of a monster if he wasn't so unselfish also. Too.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But it's also WWE. Because don't forget, this is the same year as May 19th that comes out. It's like every time they had a chance to make Kane a monster again, they would also screw it up. But
oh, yeah.
So, yeah, then it's just down to Carlito, Chris Masters, Cena, and Michaels. And Carlito and Chris Masters work together on Cena and Michaels again. Shawn Michaels does the best he can to fight them off. But I actually kind of like what happens here. Shawn Michaels' ego is so hot. He wants to be the guy, I think, that eliminates Cena because he starts going after Cena. He gets an elbow drop onto him. And he actually hits the Sweet Chin Music onto him, but he can't make the cover because Chris Masters and Carlito beat him up before he can. And Carlito goes for a Swinton Neckbreaker, number 2. But Michaels counters it the first time, but eventually the numbers game's too much. And Carlito hits the Swinton Neckbreaker number 2 the second time and eliminates Shawn Michaels. And this was a really good story they told in this match. The commentators really do a good job putting this up. They even mentioned at one point, like, how do you think Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, and Kane are feeling backstage? The fact that Chris Masters and Carlito have figured out this formula that they could just work together. Because let's also mention this. Nobody, I mean, I guess Triple H and Batista did it, but really not to the levels that Carlito and Chris Masters did it here. They really, this was the first time that two wrestlers worked together to like eliminate most of the field in the Elimination Chamber. I thought it really got them over as like two young talents at this point.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good booking. It's a shame it didn't go anywhere as time went on.
So then Cena tries to fight them off for a bit. He hits all his signature moves onto him. Eventually, he gets outnumbered. They throw him into the chain link fence. Chris Masters DDT Cena onto the chamber floor on the outside. And Cena gets busted open from this. He was already coming in hurt anyways because he had just lost the first blood match to Kurt Angle, so he already had an open wound. It was weird Kurt Angle didn't, though, because he bled on Raw and he didn't come out with a bandage on, so that was weird.
Didn't bleed as much, I guess, because Cena's a bleeder, as we know.
Well, also, I could understand him not getting busted open because he wasn't in the match long enough to get busted open, but he should have at least come out with a bandage on his head or something.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But eventually, Carlito and Chris Masters just mauled Cena. They had a double suplex onto him. They had a super back suplex off of the turnbuckles. And I've mentioned this before. Let's also talk about, I think the wind, when the chamber's down, it's harder to take, like the bumps are harder, clearly. Because you're also around the chamber.
Yep.
I think the mat's a bit harder. Eventually, Chris Masters and Carlito. You want to talk about this? Because I know you've been itching to talk about this. The finish of the match.
Okay, so Carlito then says, Masters, go on. It's yours, buddy.
Yeah.
And he gives him the master lock on Cena, which would have absolutely been the end of Cena here.
Yeah.
But Carlito, because ego, low blows Masters, rolls him up, gets him eliminated. And I think
he was holding the tights.
And he was holding the tights, and he goes, And then somehow Cena does the exact same roll-up and gets the 3 and retains the title. Bro, he took a DDT on metal floor here.
Oh my gosh, what the fuck? I just realized something.
Go ahead.
This is the SummerSlam 2010 finish years earlier, just not as remembered as well.
Yeah, it doesn't bury Masters and Carlito too bad. Like, don't get me wrong, as badly as the Nexus did. But it's still pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
Bro, he has gotten annihilated by these two. For fucking minutes by these guys. And he's able to just roll one of them up and that's it. You couldn't have even had a competitive match. I actually would argue that having a somewhat competitive, like, outing, like maybe Carlito tries to go for the freaking backstabber and then Cena, like, backflips out of the way or something crazy, and then tries to lock him in the STFU, that could have been cool.
Yeah, because he just debuted that finisher not that long ago.
But, like, he just fucking rolled him up. That's it.
The biggest thing you're missing here is what an idiot Carlito looked. He eliminated Chris Masters
just to get eliminated himself.
No, right when Cena was going to go out too. Like
Cena was going to pass out. He was going to get eliminated by Masters.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so dumb. It was such a dumb finish. I wouldn't, and the funny thing is like, I would argue that this chamber was like a 4-star, but because of that finish, I have to go 3.5 now.
Well, I'm including what happens next as part of the style because I feel like you can't really talk about one match without.
You gotta split them up. That's my thing. That's my theory.
Okay.
That's just me. It's because the chamber doesn't involve it. You know.
Okay.
So I say the chamber itself 3.5 because of that shitty ass finish. Otherwise, it was great.
I'll go 4. It would have been 4.5, but that finish sucks it. So then, right, I want to also, they were running out of time too, because right after this, right after Cena wins, Vince McMahon comes out, and I'll say this: if you were running out of time, why the fuck did you book that Shelton Benjamin Viscera match then? Why the fuck did you put the Raw and Panties Gauntlet match then?
Yep. Because Vince was horny and so was Viscera. Double V.
Yeah. Anyhow, Vince McMahon comes out and says that this match is not over yet. He tells him to raise the cage. He has this bad line here where he says, "Raise the cage," I said, but it sounds like he will. That thought was going to be funny, but it was a terrible line.
Raise the cage, I said. He said it so monotone, too. I'm like, come on, Vince, you're better than that.
And he says that this match is not over, this night is not over, because this superstar is cashing in Money in the Bank. And they mentioned, by the way, that on commentary during the IC title match that Edge could be planning to cash it in at WrestleMania since he would have had that amount of time to do so and all that.
Don't worry about it. We're almost done anyway.
Okay. But they mentioned Edge comes out and he's cashing in Money in the Bank right now. And let's also talk about Edge was the first Money in the Bank winner, so this was the first time we were seeing something like this.
Yes.
He cashes in Money in the Bank right after Cena has had this grueling match and he's busted open and he's just been through hell. And he cashes in Money in the Bank. Edge comes down. He mauls Cena, destroys him, hits 2 spears on him. Cena kicks out of the first one and then he loses to the second one. Edge wins. And he's just celebrating with the championship. They actually let Edge celebrate for like a while before the pay-per-view goes off the air, by the way, too.
Yeah, that was a great celebration.
Which was fine.
Too. You could tell Edge was like legit in tears, by the way, when he won it.
Yeah. And, yeah, I like this. This was the first ever Money in the Bank cash-in. And I know a lot of people like the WrestleMania 31. And that, as great as that one is, this is my favorite personal Money in the Bank cash-in. Without this, the Money in the Bank cash-in doesn't work. It really wants Edge. This is the moment that he became the ultimate opportunist right here. It launched his character.
I will say, while I agree with you, yes, best cash-in, or at least up there as top best cash-ins. However, they overplayed this to death as time went on.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was getting to that, but before I talk about it, what a great way to have Edge win the Money in the Bank and launch his Ultimate Opportunist gimmick. It launched the Money in the Bank really well. And yeah, really great way to end the pay per view. What would you give the Money in the Bank cash match? I would give it like a 3. It was the first of its kind, and it really launched Edge, and his celebration really.
I'd say a 3. Yeah, you'd have to go 3 just for the historic moment. Otherwise, I would rate it a 2, but it's historic, so 3.
So James alluded to it. I don't let him talk about it. Obviously, this launched the Money in the Bank to a lot of people doing this. And you wanted to talk about it. Why don't you talk about how they've overplayed this now and stuff?
Well, they did it. They didn't do it with Van Dam. Van Dam cashed in fairly and did it at one night stand, won the title. Edge would do it yet again on Taker.
I thought that was fine.
And that was fine because it fit his character. Then we start losing the plot. Punk cashes in on Edge after Batista laid him out. Although I will give a pass only because Edge gets a taste of his own medicine from the last 2 cash-ins. So fine, fair enough. I'll give a pass there. Then Punk does it again against Jeff Hardy after he just won the title from Edge.
I will give that one a pass too because Punk turned heel off of that pretty much.
Which is fine, but it's like, okay, we're starting to go a little rough here.
Yeah.
Then Jack Swagger.
That's one. That one. Yeah.
This is where we start losing the plot. Swagger won the world title. He sucked with it, by the way. Then they turned it into a pay-per-view. Kane cashed in. Made no sense. Did it on that show. On that Money in the Bank in 2010. Yeah. And then the person who won the Raw one. I forget.
The Miz.
The Miz was fine, but even then, like, we're overdoing it now. Then I think it was 2011. There was 2 Money in the Bank winners. Del Rio did it at SummerSlam. Bryan did it at TLC. Neither one made fucking sense. Let's call it what it is.
For different reasons.
For Daniel, because they just kept teasing he was going to cash in at Mania. 2013, I couldn't even begin to tell you, but they just started losing the plot on the cash-ins.
I could do the rest. So 2012, Ziggler did it to Del Rio. That was fine, I guess. I'm trying to...
No, Ziggler didn't do it to Del Rio until 2013. Cena was the one who failed. He was the first failed cash-in, but he did it fairly.
In a bullshit way.
In a bullshit way because Big Show interfered for no reason.
And the 2013 winners, Orton did it with the Authority, which was fine.
That is like the only one that makes sense out of the later stages. Yeah. It's the Orton one.
Oh, well, Rollins. Don't forget Rollins works, too.
Rollins, yeah. Yeah, true.
I would say, like, Rollins was the last one they got right. I know a lot of people like the Ambrose cash-in, but I personally don't really like that one. I get it was to get back at Rollins and everything like that, but I personally think Ambrose should have won the championship fairly. He shouldn't have fucking cashed in that way. That didn't even make any sense for his character.
No, it didn't.
I'm trying to think of, like, I think the moment the Money in the Bank jumped the shark was when Corbin failed. That was the moment.
It was already though. It already was because everybody that did it just did the Edge method. It didn't matter if you were a babyface, a heel. It didn't matter. You got the Money in the Bank. You do it unfairly,
which doesn't make any sense for people's characters.
No.
Obviously, you're a heel. Whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense for the most part, kinda.
But, like, why was Daniel Bryan doing it that way? Why did,
why did fucking Punk... Punk made sense just to give Edge his comeuppance. That's, like, the only time.
Yeah.
And then, again, when he was turning heel. That's it.
Yeah.
That was, like, the only times it made sense, and then everything else just lost the plot, I think.
So, I actually want to call this out, because I haven't been able to yet. A lot of people, and I call Chris out for this, well, like, wait, why are people upset that they're pushing Liv Morgan when that's literally what they wanted? Liv Morgan cashed in the same way, the Edge method. No wonder why Liv Morgan didn't get over her. And then she would come out on SmackDown. She would come out on SmackDown after she won the belt and be like, I fought so hard and fought through blood and tears to get the title. You cashed in on Ronda Rousey when she was injured.
Yes, and that's the problem. It is not that she didn't work her ass off, because if you're an insider looking at the show, yes, she did work her ass off. How does that make any sense for TV? She fucking beat Ronda Rousey. She's already injured. She's already fucking injured. She's hurt. What do you mean? Fucking bitch didn't do fucking anything for hard work. Hard work my ass. At least when Ronda Rousey botches, she fucking works hard at it. Jesus Christ. There was no work put into that fucking title win. I mean, come on.
It was just terrible. So,
by the way, not Liv Morgan's fault, by the way. It's just...
Yeah, she was written bad.
Who the fuck books this shit?
Well, it was actually Vince at, like, the late stage of his... when he was being phased out type of thing.
Yeah,
he didn't care about anything. So...
That is true. Boy, is that...
But yeah, so... As great as this moment is for the cash-in, WWE have way overdone the Money in the Bank cash-in with the Edge method. Like, honestly, you could still keep the Money in the Bank around, but either have people cash in fairly, or they should do something where, like, well, like
fucking just change it to the G1 method. That's it. Like, you're not gonna be like, the fact that we have let it gone on that long.
Yeah.
Like, change the fucking thing up a bit.
I like RVD's method where he cashed in and he had Cena go to a place that wasn't going to benefit him. He basically cashed in fairly, but the rules benefited him. I wouldn't mind if they said like for example, if they had somebody cash in, they say, but I only have to beat you once,
and my
you
hometown,
have to beat me twice or something.
In my hometown,
yeah. Or like it's or like have someone, if they like ladder matches, it's going to be a ladder match or something. A cage match.
Just stop overdoing the same trope with the Money in the Bank, please.
And that's one thing I hope happens when Triple H is in creative with the Money in the Bank. Is he does something different with the Money in the Bank this year because. But obviously, let's talk about Edge real quick. His title reign was pretty successful for the 3 weeks he had it.
And then Cena won it back. And then Edge won it back from Cena. Yeah.
Edge had like really high ratings with the title. He would have the live sex celebration with Lita, which was like one of the highest rated Raws in like the 2000s, at least the later stages of the 2000s and stuff. And yeah, I feel like Edge was kind of done. Like obviously Edge recovered obviously because he had that match with Foley and everything. But I feel like Edge was done dirty a little bit with this title run. Like his title run, he should have easily gone to Mania with the belt and faced Cena in the main event.
Or honestly, like that Backlash triple threat match would have been the perfect Mania main event, I think.
Yeah, or if they utilized Matt Hardy correctly, they could have had Matt Hardy.
Oh my God, yeah, Matt Hardy should have been the one. It should have been the guy, honestly.
Yeah. Or like if you were gonna have Edge lose the belt, it should have been because Matt Hardy screwed him over or something like that. Like that would have made sense.
Right.
But it is what it is. Edge still became like a decent top guy, so I can't get too mad at it. Honestly, I think it's because of Mick Foley that Edge stayed in the spot that he was in. To be honest, I think Mick Foley.
Foley saved his ass big time. He saved his ass.
Yeah, and that's not saying like.
That's not saying Edge was bad either. It's just the booking was atrocious.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the end of this pay-per-view review. I actually really like this show. It's not nostalgia. There's some really good matches on the show. I like Edge versus Flair. I like the Chamber match up until the finish. I liked Trish versus Mickey. And I liked Big Show versus Triple H, even with the goofiness of the cast. Shelton Benjamin's mama was a highlight on this pay-per-view. And the storyline they did with Carlito and Chris Masters. I'm going to give this show a B. I'm not going to go B+. Had the Chamber match been better.
I think that's solid. Yeah, it's a B. It's It's a very solid B show.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we're gonna end this video now because it's getting dark where I'm at, and then, there's no sense in me plugging my light in right now. So,
yeah,
I'm not gonna do any plugs. Just go watch all the CM Brothers over the Talkinator and Wrestling Fortune 44 content, because this pretty sure I'll be in complete darkness and you won't even be able to see me. So we don't want that.
I agree. I will also say the only thing you really need to check out that I've done of recent for FTW is check out the Buttmaster Stable Wars I did with Noah, Mistress Audio, and Michael X. And also, check out my live call for WWE Elimination Chamber 2023 this year. Oh, wait. I'm not doing that. Sorry. I'm stupid. JJ and Noah's call for WWE Elimination Chamber 2023. I forgot. I'm actually going to be busy on site with my Uncle Gary doing brochures, so I will not be available for that. But check them out anyway. Tell them James sent you.
There you go. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And we will talk to you guys later. And since we're recording this in the past, talk to you. Oh, don't forget to plug you and Casey's Survivor Series show too.
Yeah. Oh, Survivor Series 02 coming up this this Saturday afternoon. When you see it, we're going to be recording it Friday night.
There you go. So yeah, like I said, since we're recording this in the past, we will talk to you guys in the future.
Bye. Bye. Yeah.
We doing all the classics, you heard it, then I grabbed it. Flow like Method Man, then run like I'm Rabbit. Soon as I hear the bass line, it be my FaceTime. Music's in my veins, so just in case I'm without my iPod or a media player, I'll check my